Hello, hello, hello.
Good evening.
Hello, hello. Happy Friday.
Hello.
Here we are again.
Yep.
Happy Friday indeed.
Hello.
We've made it. We've made it. Terrill's in the house. Poo Tang.
Yeah. Yes.
Here he is.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yes. Poo Tang had been nagging me for months to come on the stream on a regular basis. He said, Lindsay does, well, nobody gets to know that Lindsay does all the work. Terrill just does a little bit of Instagram and little,
I'm just here for the good looks.
That's it. We said, of course, man, if you've not got much. He was like, no, I've got nothing else to do. Dong's never got anything to do on a Friday afternoon in the States, so it's like, why not? Invite was there. Steph will be coming
My
back.
live stream cat.
Yes, live stream cat. Steph will be coming on again soon. Lots to talk about from his recent transition at Reef, as I'm sure most of you know. But good weeks, gentlemen. Anything to report? Jamie? Terrill, Dong, anybody want to go first? Anything?
I'm back in the fish room. The Wi-Fi is back.
Oh yeah.
That was a pain in the backside. You don't realise how much you rely on your Wi-Fi these days until it drops out. So yeah, all back in. I'm currently doing another fluconazole treatment. I'll say the first fluconazole treatment on this tank behind me, which come back to bite me because it's the biggest system I've run at 1,500 litres. So that meant one single treatment was about 80 quid's worth of fluconazole.
Nice.
So that's all good fun. But yeah,
I'm nice fish, Jamie. Well. Come on, point us out some new purchases.
So about 2 weeks ago now. Obviously, you've not seen the tank because it's been no Wi-Fi. Obviously, went to see our good friend Rob, pelagic swimmer, who's sadly shutting down his beast of a tank, and he actually contacted me about rehoming some of his fish. So that's the pride and joy there, the Achilles.
Wow. Well, look at that.
Ooh, boy.
So I had a fantastic week of fun integrating that with the resident powder blue, who was just a little bit of a dickhead. I've never fed this tank so much nori, so much pellets, and so much frozen food, just to keep the aggression sort of down. Phosphates are running up at about 0.3.5 at the end of that sort of week of just introduction. Not too bad. I did put 500 grams of rower in there before I started, so I've been pumping it full of food. But I mean, touch wood. I think we're over the worst of it. The other two yellow tangs have integrated well with my existing yellow tang, who was very happy and piecemeal. Nice. It's just if anyone's ever put two acanthurus tangs together, you'll know where I'm coming from. It's not fun. Not fun.
It's looking a lot clearer than last time as well. It's looking good, mate.
Yeah, I think it's it doesn't really show up on this. As you know, my camera is terrible and I always look red and whatever. But it doesn't look that bad in the flesh. It's nice and clarity's okay. Yeah. But no,
we know you have 9 minutes on the sunbed on a Friday afternoon before you come on in. We know that. We know.
Hot flushes you give me, Thomas. The hot flushes you
Exactly. But no, it's looking good, mate. Dong, Terrill, anything to report this week? Anything happened? Anything exciting?
Well, just a coral grow like nuts. Especially with this thing.
Oh, hang on. Let's get you on big screen.
Okay. Ooh. Dangerous stuff, but it works. It works very well. Yeah. So my millipora is going gangbuster. Yeah, the rest of them just the same, but just the millipora. The millipora is going gangbuster when I use sodium hydroxide. Yeah. So right now I'm running out of room again. So
you can always send some to the UK. You can always send some to the UK. I don't think they get here, but you can always try. Anyway. Who's interfering?
What's that?
Don't know. Somebody's got a metal plate.
Aliens.
Yeah. It's all Terrill's fault. Yeah. He didn't do it before he joined. It's all his fault. It's all his fault. Yeah. What's that?
We're going to use that for a while.
I think it's your microphone.
Maybe. Let me see.
we come on 10 minutes before just to check all this. But clearly,
it was working before.
We are going to use this excuse for the next foreseeable weeks. It's all Terrill's fault.
It's not Dong. It's not Dong.
It's me?
Not Terrill.
No, me.
Jamie. Easy way out. You mute everybody. And somebody's, yeah.
It must be the Wi-Fi.
It's Jamie. No, he really has gone red. Bless him. Try again.
I've taken that mic off.
Oh, you're good. Yeah,
There you
you're
go.
good. You're good. There you go. Bingo. Yeah, beat me up, Scotty. Anyway, what's happening down over at Poo Tang? Been busy week, getting ready for shows and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, we're on the last month up until Reefapalooza Orlando, so that's our big. We've been doing a lot of preparation and just we're excited for it. So everybody that's coming in, we're excited to see you and everybody else that might be coming in, and that's our prep. And then I'm about to put in a big 1,000-gallon a day RODI system into the house, because I've been dealing with some water quality issues, and so I finally decided just to put the money into it, and why not, you know?
Yeah.
Or you can move here.
Get some good water quality. Yeah, my water quality here is terrible, man.
My water is very good.
One of the things that you said to me the other day was when I was on the phone to you, Terrill, was quite interesting, which was obviously you're going to the shows and you want to put on your best, you know, you want to showcase your best corals in terms of size. And one of the things that me and Drippy definitely mentioned and you know, gave you a shout out for was the size of the frags and how, you know, encrusted based out they were. But how do you get to a point where you've got to balance it here? Because you've got to obviously keep the people happy that are going to these shows. You've also got your regular customers buying online. You've got to keep them happy, because they don't want the leftovers. They want the meat and potatoes, don't they?
Yep. And
so how do you do that?
So obviously it's extremely difficult. We got really limited space in here as it is, and so kind of what we've done is it worked out. I had a what you see is what you get section, a small what you see is what you get section for our website, and I hadn't updated those pictures in a while, so I left pieces in there, and as they've gotten chunkier, I've slowly just kind of kept them over there. I pulled all my what you see is what you get off my website, and I had to. I didn't want to, but I pulled it off for a couple months. That way I have the extra rack space, and then I'm basically stashing pieces over there until I can go to the show. But at the same time, I'm slowly rotating in, you know, heftier pieces to people that are currently buying on our live sales. So it's a hard balance. And I've said it a couple times to a few people, and they've heard me say, I'm like, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. Because like you said, I don't want people to feel like I'm holding out on them, and this person's getting better treatment than the other, but it's just it's hard keeping up. And I always try to say, have people keep in mind that with what we're doing, like it kind of goes in rotation sometimes. So that's what we found. Like I still try to offer the biggest pieces possible, but sometimes if I'm not able to, I'll put them to the side. And if nobody, sometimes people want to buy them anyways, but put them to the side, let them grow a little bit bigger, and then when that piece is ready to go again, then I'll push it back into rotation.
You have to remind me from last year. Do you bring stock back with you, or do you try and get rid of it all? You do, right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
We're only 2 hours away, so it's easy just to drive home. I don't have to travel multiple states away.
All right, cool. So if you're having a really good day and something's selling really well, something selling better than you thought it was going to sell, have you before got in the car, come home, got more of that, and then gone back?
Not yet.
Well, not yet. Okay.
Not yet. I figure we got such a variety that I could fill 4 racks full, almost, a bunch of pieces each and bring 3 to 4 pieces of each piece and still not be able to bring my entire collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
do you have photos on your phone and go, well, if you want a red one, I might have got one of these at home like this. It takes me 2 hours. Okay, come back tomorrow. Right. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. So we're going to do a bit of a Q&A today. Dong's put one of his amazing, well-known Q&A slides together for us. Let's have a look at who's in the chat, who's joined us this evening. Right, let's have a look. So we have, of course, our resident Mr. John Wright is with us. Good evening, John. Hope you're good.
Hello, John.
My cursor will catch up with me. Oh, there we go. Here we are. Johnny Wright, good evening. Reef Runners in the house as well. Hoping everybody has had an amazing week. Yeah, so far so good. Thank you. Reefing Mud, hello. Thanks for tuning in. Techers is with us. Thank you very much. Who else we got in here? Mo's Reef, hello.
Hello.
K13 Trav, hello John Motek, hope you're good. Thanks for tuning in. Here he is, Baby Dave, the man himself.
Baby Dave.
Baby Dave. UK 120. Good evening. Mark is in the house.
Hello, Mark.
Mr. Ocean Seawave Products, of which, Terrill, you've been trying a few of these out. You're loving them, aren't you?
I got like 10 of them on the farm now. I love them. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So we've been trying to help him out.
Have you got one in the bedroom, or should we not go there?
No,
Okay.
we're not
Oh.
going to. No, we don't need that. We're good. We're
Hey,
good.
just checking. Mr. Reefer, good evening, Lee. Hope you're good.
Hi, Lee.
Hope you're good. Elisa sa. There you go. Big fan. Hope you're good.
Oh, yeah.
Nice to see you. Dirt Devils is with us as well. Thanks for tuning in.
Dirty Devil.
Here. So he's Dave's Reef. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Prime Corals, hello. Julie, not seen you in a while. Hope you and Paul are good. Nice to see you.
Jenny.
Let's have a look who else we got in here. Right, my cursor. Dino's with us, all the way from Ireland.
We have to
okay, good.
update. We have to update Dean tonight on the Man United score because he's watching this instead of watching his beloved Man United.
Oh, he's a Man United fan, is he? Okay. What is the score
He's
so far?
Irish. I don't know. I'll find out.
You see, you've
Come on,
just...
Nil.
Nil. Okay. You'll have to let us know if they do concede or if there's any goals, Jamie, throughout today's chat. Stephen Owen is with us as well. Good evening, Stephen. Hope you're good. Matty Boy is with us as well in the house. Good evening, Matthew. Hope you and the missus are good. Imran is with us. Hello. Milot, thank you very much. He's watching the football as well. What else we got in here? Dave's Reef is with us. Thanks for tuning in. Let's have a look.
We're only competing with the one of the biggest brands in football, but hey ho.
Yeah. Tommy Sharon, nice to see you.
Hey.
Hope you're good.
Hi guys.
Looking forward to see you both soon. Who else we got in here? Geordie Scott, good evening. LT Reefer. Oh, there we go. Banana Rama, thanks for tuning in. Everybody's saying hello to themselves. Roland Muncie. Hello, hope you're good. There we go. Digital Corals. Tony, is it?
Tony, yeah. Hi,
Tony.
Tony.
Hope you're good. Thanks for tuning in. Rich Cornish Reefer is with us as well. Stefano is with us, of course. Like I say, he'll be back on soon. Lots to talk about. Dino's Reef is with us as well. Have I missed anybody? Olivia Grace Wilson. Hello.
Hello.
Malaman 7617. Thanks for tuning in. Have I missed anybody? Yes, here he is. Timothy Wakefield Reefer. Thank you very much.
Hey, Tim.
DK Terry. Hope you're good. It's Centripagi. Yes, that's me with a Chewbacca hairstyle back in the day. Hope you're good, my man.
Terry.
Here he is. Tom, you sound like you've had a month. Yeah, behave. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Few people talking amongst themselves. Swordsman, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Daniel, hope you're good. Eye warning. Yeah, not sure how you pronounce that one. Hello. Thanks for tuning in. Harry West, nice to see you, mate. Hope you're good. Reefy Reese is with us. Colorado 49. More and more coming through. Luke Green, thanks for tuning in. 0-0. People talking about the football. Michael, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. There we go. Right, okay. Thank you very much to the 60 odd of you that have tuned in to support us this Friday and get involved. It is a Q&A. So it's about you getting involved in asking questions, even though Dong has put, as I said, an amazing slide together. Oh, here she is.
Oh,
the brains behind Poo Tang. Hello.
Why I don't get this special service? Nobody here with me.
Yes. Just before we do move on to the slide, one thing that John Wright did mention to me, and if you may not, I know Drippy just said it about my nose. So I've been suffering. I mean, I don't frag nowhere near as much as you guys do, Terrill and Dong, but I've been fragging a lot in the garage, obviously starting to kind of, start with the farm, etc., learning lots of things that, it isn't as easy as you think it is. Doing hundreds of frags is not the same, clearly, as doing just 10. So I've been having serious issues with my nose with super glue. Hence why today I had to go out and buy one of these, all joking aside, because I was in a right mess with it. So it's taken me 2 or 3 days to get over the, I don't know what you call it, the vapor or the fumes or whatever. Yeah. And John Wright was really randomly sent me a message on Instagram saying he'd be speaking to somebody on Reef Talk on Sunday night, and they'd be talking about super glue. So if you want a bargain on super glue, just if you fancy buying some super glue for any fragging over the weekend or anything that you're due to be doing, you can get 24-pack of 3 gram super glue tubes for $5.99. Get it primed.
Wow.
Yeah. So thanks, John, for sharing that. There you go.
Decent.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for if you need any super glue. But I've had enough super glue. Anyway, yes, as I just said, if you've got any questions, please fire them in the comments. We'll do our best to throw them on board and have a little bit of a healthy reefing debate, as always. There's kind of not really always a right answer, although Dong might argue with that a little bit. Okay, here we go. Right, Q&A. So these are some of so where these questions originated from, Dong, for those watching?
Yeah, they've been collecting questions here and there, and then looking at social media that was to see what people actually want me to answer. So let's go.
Okay.
Next slide.
Go for it.
Okay. The question SOS time, the freaking pH. So this is continue to being asked this question over and over again, just like beating a dead horse over and over again. But actually, I think it's well worth the time to answer some of the question. So the question is what is a good pH range, and do I need to keep pH consistent throughout the day?
Yeah.
For example, many people ask me, oh, I need a refugium at night to keep my pH at the same level as the daytime. So this kind of, and some people said, well, the ocean is always have the constant pH. The pH doesn't change. That's why we need to keep it like that. Is it true? Let's go to the next slide.
Oh, I'm getting ordered already. Okay.
Yeah. Next one, please. Okay.
Go for it.
Let's look at the coral reef, the natural coral reef. Okay. The natural coral reef, for example, the Great Barrier Reef, the pH fluctuate day and night. For example, the range came from 8 to 8.08 to 8.33, just for one example. So that has been well known for decades. The coral reef, not the open ocean, not where the shamu or dolphin lives, is on the coral reef. Because of the biological activity, the coral reef, the pH fluctuate day and night, just like our reef tank. So let's go to the next slide. This is well studied, well documented. So the pH in the ocean is not totally fixed. It fluctuates day and night. For example, on the Great Barrier Reef, in the summertime, it fluctuates from 8.12 at night to 8.38 average during the daytime. So that is a 0.2, actually almost 0.3 of pH swing. And winter time, it can drop as low as 7.8, and then at night, and then during the daytime, it rises up to 8.25, 8.3.
That's the opposite way around to what I would have assumed then, because I'd have thought there'd be much more photosynthetic activity in the summer during the day than there would be in the winter.
That's because they're in Australia. Everything in Australia is weird. You know, the toilet even flush the other way around. So, but actually, it has a lot to do with the CO2 concentration in our home. So during winter time, every home is different. So the pH fluctuation, the range is different. So basically, the basic take-home message is that the coral reef, the pH day and night, they fluctuate, they come up and go up and down. Is natural. We do not have to work against the nature. So that means that you really don't need the pH to be constant. The pH is not really stable. Actually, when the pH fluctuates from 7.8 to 8.3, that's a huge change day and night. The coral is through millions of years evolution. That's what they are. So there's really no reason to bump up the pH at night to make the pH a flat curve. There's no reason to do that. And
Terrill,
actually, if you make a
Terrill, what do you think? Come on, Terrill, you farm.
I agree. He's spot on, and I've always tell people you got to look at your pH as if like you're your tank is breathing. That's the inhalation and the exhale. Inhale, exhale. And as long as you're not below 7.7, where the water becomes a little bit too acidic, where your coral starts having issues, as long as you're generally above 7.7, it doesn't matter really where you land on your tank. Each tank, depending on your livestock too, will respirate differently. My SPS tanks respirate differently from my LPS tanks. And then my wife's LPS tank respirates entirely different from my larger LPS tank. So each one, they're all stocked differently. They're all put together roughly the same, and you can definitely tell, they all have little differences. And as well as I've observed what you're talking about is the differences in weather. And so like, for instance, I'm down here in Florida. And so we have central AC. And so that AC is always creating back pressure and pulling in, trying to pull in, air from the outside. And so I noticed where, during the summer, where the AC is running all the time, I'm getting a certain pH where it'll kind of settle in. As winter, where my, the house is kind of regulating with what it is outside. So like, let's say today is around like 80 degrees. If it's around 70 degrees, 60 degrees, my AC isn't running, and therefore it's not pulling in oxygen from outside. And therefore my pH is depressed in the house. So whereas it normally reaches 8.7, now it's only reaching 8.5 for this day. And you can observe that with weather changes, temperature changes, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So how important is pH to Poo Tang?
I mean, I would say pH is arguably one of the most important things to look at. I wouldn't say chasing pH is a good thing, because chasing pH kind of leads you into issues, because if you're trying to specifically hit a number repetitively, your tank is going to have its limitations. Again, it's going to respirate a certain way, so you have to just work with what you got. You can work with like bigger skimmers. I do CO2 scrubbers. I wouldn't suggest, if you, like, for instance, me in Florida, if I open up the windows in the wintertime, which it's nice weather and everything, but I get an influx of pH, and now that really throws everything off in my systems. And for instance, my torches start dying, I see why I have issues, but normally, I mean, I shoot my systems respirate realistically between 8.3 and 8.7 in the house.
Wow.
And as long as I usually,
high.
And I mean, I've had them go up to 8.9, even 9 before, and I was expecting a catastrophic failure because I'm watching my pH just go up and up, and I didn't see an issue.
And what you're measuring,
that's highly unusual, though.
It is
because it's highly unusual to go to that high.
I mean, I might be wrong. Like I said, I do use the Apex. I've tried to recalibrate it. I've tried to change
the Apex. Yeah, I can see. Yep.
And I've tried to recalibrate.
That pH Pro is a piece of crap.
Yeah. And that's why I kind of worry about the trend more than I do.
The trend matters. The absolute number is not.
Well, gentlemen, there's a point here from Malman 76.7. This is so interesting. So I don't need to chase a stable pH as long as it's in a good range then.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. The good range is more important. So if your pH drop too low, for example, if you're looking at 7.6, 7.4, actually the carbon dioxide only responsible for part of the pH issue. There's another big factor that can lower the pH in your reef tank is the decaying organic matters. For example, if the fish are dying, or some sponge are dying, or you feed too much frozen food, the frozen food is decaying. And all this decaying organic material, they all generate acid. That lower your pH as well. So I would say that if you see your pH drops too low, and you should buy a CO2 monitor to look at your room's CO2 level. So I know a guy actually has a CO2 level is so high, they're like 2,000 ppm, those kind of things. Well, then your CO2 is a problem. And then a CO2 scrubber may be a good solution, or you're just piping the air from outside to your skimmer. But if your CO2 level is normal, like 400 to 500 ppm, and your pH still low, maybe something is decaying in your tank.
I mean, alternatively, you can get rid of the children, swap the wife for the
dog,
maybe.
children, the wife, your best friend, fiance, girlfriend. Yeah, they all can go out.
Staying on pH for a second. Question here from Rich Cornish Reef. Hello, Rich Cornish Reef. Are we good? How often you guys checking pH? Probably the one
Every
parameter
day.
I check the least. Okay. Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
every day.
So if somebody
it's
hasn't
easy.
got, you're saying that if you've got modern day technology or you've got probes or you've got that sort of technology, if somebody hasn't got that or doesn't necessarily want to spend it, any suggestions how they can get an indication that was a little bit more cost effective?
I think that buying a $15 pH Pro from Amazon is the best solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no excuse not to buy a $15, $20 pH pen, so you can at least you have some idea. Because of course you cannot chase pH using that El Cheapo device, but it gives you some idea.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm a big fan of the fluid dropper tests, not because of their accuracy or because of you can pinpoint the color, but obviously probes can go a bit wrong. They can fly off if they're not calibrated in range, but colors, a physical chemical reaction can't lie. So if I know the color I'm pitching for, I don't even look at the chart anymore. I just look for the color. It's gone dark enough. I'm happy. That's all I use it for. A very quick spot check, and that can't lie to me.
So I actually have some of the color changing reagent, those kind of things. I actually sometimes I look at my pH pen. I then look at the liquid test kit. If they agreed, pretty much. But then the pH buffer to calibrate the pH pen, that is the most reliable one. So to use the pH buffer, as long as your pH pens is in range, so it doesn't go too far from the actual number, that's good enough. So
what about sorry to put in, what about testing? When we talk about testing, something that somebody said a long time ago that sort of always sticks in my mind is when you're testing your water, try and test it the same time each day. Would you agree with that, or because obviously this is going to differ, isn't it?
For pH, I want to look at it whenever I want. Yeah,
I get that, but people can react unfortunately very quickly because they don't see what they like or they think.
Okay, I can see what you mean. Like, let's say if you're measuring pH or your alkalinity, if you measure it at 8 o'clock in the morning versus midday where it's having
it's different.
Period.
So if you measure it, when I come, if you watch I watch my trends and I could see where at 6 in the morning my lights come on early, but the second my lights come on, I can see that uptick in pH where it starts climbing, and and every single day I can look back at with the apex obviously, but I can look back and see where it was compared to the same time the previous day, and you can actually again this goes back to you don't need the apex necessarily for it, but like Dong said, there's nothing stopping you from getting a $15 piece of equipment. And you can literally just go measure your pH. You can look at your pH at 8 o'clock in the morning and then look at your pH and write it down, and then look at your pH tomorrow morning and write it down at the same time, and then get an idea of what your tank is doing.
Hey, actually, if you buy a pH pen that ranging around $50-$60, they give you a much better result. So if I want to measure the pH only twice a day, I will measure the pH right before the light comes on. That's supposed to give you the lowest pH of the day. And then the second time point is to measure right after the lights turn off. That gives you the highest pH during the day. Yeah. Then you can look at this two time point.
The key thing is you can measure pH any time of the day you want and record it. And you get a good result. What you shouldn't, where it goes wrong, I think was the original point, where it goes wrong is if you measure your pH in the evening after the tank's been on all day and you've got 8.4, and then you measure it in the morning and it's 7.9, and you think, oh crap, I'm going to dose a load of hydroxide to bring it back up again. That's where you go wrong because you're not measuring at the same time every day. So you're not you're seeing a natural swing, not a depletion of anything.
Yeah. And so that's what they got to understand. That's that way of breathe in, breathe out.
Yeah, as long as you're not doing any correctional dosing, it doesn't really matter when you measure it. But if you are doing correctional dosing, same time every day, get your flat line.
What I've also seen people do and make the mistake of adding like pH buffers and not realizing that it spikes alkalinity as well. And so they'll put in pH buffer thinking they want to reach a certain pH, but then wonder why their alkalinity is
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. I'm gonna make a statement on that. It might be a little bit controversial, but when so I run Calquasser at night, reverse photo period, right, on my on my SPS tank downstairs. I can physically tell when my Calquasser is running out and needs changing because the tank just doesn't look as happy. When I change it, the calc stirrer, and I put new Calquasser in it, within about 24 to 40 hours, it just looks so much better and happier. Would you agree with that statement, or is that a bold statement to me? When you look at your tank that often, you just see certain things, and I can just tell when it's.
Well, you see the second you run out of your Calquasser, your pH drops. So you're obviously not putting in. You're not giving it your alkalinity calcium. You're not giving it your pH anymore. So I mean, your tank could be responding to, that drop.
I'm a massive fan of the old school method.
I think that is more psychological effect than. I think.
I knew he was going to put a spanner in the works.
Let's go to the next slide.
One question before we do. Sorry, Don. Before we do, one question. Dean was saying the AquaWiz is supposed to be very accurate when it comes to monitoring pH. And Tommy Sharon said, Terrill uses multiple AquaWiz units in the farm. What's his take on them? I have one in a box. Sounds like my line. Not set it up as yet.
So
I never use AquaWiz.
Oh, I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna sound like a fangirl, but honestly, and I mean this entirely, and from a hobbyist perspective, that's probably one of the single best pieces of equipment that I've invested in this farm, because I was using Tridents before, and especially when I'm running SPS tanks, it's like running a high octane, engine that can change very, very quickly, and you'd be shocked how much the tank can change very, very quickly throughout the day. And when I was running the Tridents, they worked for years. Don't get me wrong, but they were very quirky, and they were all over the place. So when I got the AquaWiz, I put one on the system. I ran it against the Trident, and I mean that thing it's very, very consistent. I've left it multiple weeks to try and see if it would drift at all. The most I've seen a drift on mine is 0.2, and that was after like a month and a half. And technically, you could just go in there, recalibrate it every week if you want, which is really easy. You just do a HANA checker, go to the app, input it, press a button, and then hit the button on the thing, and it syncs them. It takes 5 minutes. But I mean, I'm impressed. I love them. I just don't use I haven't calibrated the pH probe on them because I have it tied into my Apex. So I use my Apex to kind of monitor my pH trend. I do take a look at the AquaWiz app every once in a while to see if it kind of matches the same trend. If I see something massively off, then it just makes me start looking more or less.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So you're a fanboy then? Clearly.
Oh, I'm a total fanboy. I bought one, and then I turned around and bought 4 others and put the rest of my systems on them. And then I actually what was nice was. It's a standalone, and it has its own doser, which I don't use, but you can. I've heard good things about it too. But I tied it into my Apex, and you can do the same thing with the Hydros, and it populates on your Apex or Hydros as a pH tile. And so what you can do, I use the Apex doser, and I basically have my set dosing amount, and then I'll overdose a little bit, which I know it will raise my alkalinity, and then I set a limit on my doser through my AquaWiz. So I program it, if AquaWiz reads over 8.0, then turn dosers off. And then since it tests every hour, I have it turning on and off my Calquasser. And the same thing with my 2-part, but basically it's only turning the Calquasser or the 2-part off for an hour at a time, and then it reads it again and does another test and can double check. So I'm not getting the big drops like I did with like a Trident, where it was 3 to 6 hours in between. And even the Trident, you can actually go in and you could hardline the programming to test multiple times a day outside the pre-described 4 times a day programming at 12, 12, 6, 6. So I would test it at I had mine set to do 9, 12, 13, 15, and 17. So it would test multiple times throughout the day. But I'm telling you, the AquaWiz is so good. I took all the Tridents offline, and Done.
So as a chemist, I look into the theory behind the aqua widths, how it works. It actually is pretty impressive that the theory, the chemistry is sound. So that's what I can say. Yeah, the way they used to measure alkalinity, how they calculate it. Yeah, it makes sense.
Is it based off pH conversion?
Sorry, Jim. Is it getting a Dong seal of approval then?
No, don't say that, because I don't want people to go out to buy more, because personally I don't use one, so I don't know how the reliability, but one thing I can see is that the pH Pro is critical.
Yes.
So you need to get a good pH Pro, and also you need to calibrate that freaking Pro, and as well as you're going to keep monitoring because pH Pro degrade, because all the pH probe will have problem if the probe is constantly submerged into liquid.
Now,
you cannot escape that.
The app does have a pH probe health meter.
Oh no! Return it. Well, so yeah, but take care of the pH probe, because that since pH probe is such an inexpensive stuff, get a double junction probe and just replace it every several months, 6 months. If I'm running aqua widths, I will do that, because that no pH probe is designed to constantly submerge in the water.
Salt water.
Yeah, because that you will change the internal reference liquid.
And I think that comes with
throw up the result.
If you're getting that piece of equipment, it does have, some maintenance that you got to do on it. So every 6 months, so and you go in there and clean it out. So yeah, what I did is I just bought an extra pH probe, and I bought an extra pump to it, a peristaltic pump. That way, if anything ever goes out, I can just replace it. But, what do? You just throw in an extra $30 and buy it with the main unit, and you're good.
Yeah.
I think that's the downside of all of these things, isn't it? Sorry, the downside of all it, whether it be like an Alcatronic or a Triton or anything, people start moaning about them when they stop working. And then you ask the question, well, what maintenance should you do on it? They're like, no, none. And so, well, there you go. You have to maintain these things, like any of them.
I will say so far, so we've been, Anand from Collector Squirrels is the main U.S. rep that brings them in. So he brings them in through Taiwan. And I've had a couple customers that have bought them through me that had issues with, I guess, some of the readings were drifting. And so I will say their customer service has been really good. And we get into touch with Taiwan very easily. And Anand just gave me the link to an app in which you can actually go into an AI system linked to the company in Taiwan. You can input your model and your serial number, and they can get all your readings and then diagnose it through the app itself.
Cool.
But one thing I have to say is that do not chase the alkalinity using the aqua widths, because that I don't think that the chemistry behind it, I don't think is precise enough for you.
God, you're a hard man to please, Mr. Dongzao. You really are. Right, moving on. Come on, next slide then. Here we go.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's the same. Wait. Wow, I make this slide too.
You put this together.
Yeah. Now I realize it's hard to see. Okay. So, it basically just the same thing. There is more scientific literature showing that the fluctuation of the pH day and night. Let's go to the next slides. Okay.
Oh.
Now we talk about Cipro. Okay. For full tank treatment. So I have to acknowledge that one of my friends here in Boston Reefer Society, and he contributed greatly about this Cipro debate. His wife is the chief pharmacist of a world-renowned children's hospital. Since the husband is in this hobby, the wife put in the some effort about it to look into the Cipro fiasco. Okay, now here is the calculation why Cipro is a piece of crap that shouldn't be used in a reef tank. Let's look at what Cipro actually doing. So Cipro is an antibiotic, and the closest mimic of treating bacteria using Cipro in human versus in other liquid environment is the IV dose. That means that the needle pokes through your vein and inject the Cipro straight in your bloodstream. Okay, let's go to the next slides. So Cipro, like many antibiotics, is concentration dependent, which means that you need to reach certain concentration before it can actually do its job.
Yeah.
Either it's in the human blood or in a reef tank. You need to reach certain concentration. That's what this slide is. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, a simple calculation. So normally in an adult human, unless you're alien, is approximately 5 liters of blood, average size. We're not talking about somebody gigantic or tiny. Okay. So normally it's a 400 milligram of Cipro for 5 liters of blood every 8 hours. That is the concentration that give you the therapeutic effect in human. Okay. So we do the calculation for 400 liter aquarium, approximately 100 gallon US gallon. So it needs about 32 grams for every 8 hours. That means that 96 grams per day. And Cipro, you need to do a treatment like 5 or 6 days or 7 days. So it takes about half freaking kilo for your 100 gallon tank for this full course of treatment. What happens if you don't do the full course of treatment? You're basically breeding bacterial resistance. So good luck to go to your vet saying that I need half kilo of my 100 gallon tank treat my coral. So thanks to my friends and his wife, that's the calculation could bring up. It's not realistic.
Just for the benefit of people watching at home, why would people look at this as an option in reefing? Why would people consider using this?
Using Cipro? That's because the
why is it
social
marketed?
media on internet.
Okay. For doing what purpose? For achieving what?
Achieving what? You basically, some of them actually, the very common use is if you look at reef to reef, they're treating anemones, like the sea anemone, the carpet anemone. So the thing about, I look back to all these posts on reef to reef, my feeling is that they're just chasing ghosts. They're not doing anything useful. And then the Cipro get elevated into something called a KFC dip. Not your Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's the KFC, it's Kung Fu Coral dip. Okay. Yeah, that kind of freaking thing. So basically, it's a mixture of all the antibiotic plus together throw the kitchen sink into the coral. So and the worst case scenario is some of the wholesaler or coral retailer in US. I don't know about people in UK. Probably your government is much more tight regulation. So some of these people selling coral online, they actually treating the Cipro, that tank, every 2 weeks or every incoming coral with a very small dose, with the dosage that they found on the internet.
Question is from Dean about brown jelly, Dong. Is it true that brown jelly disease can become immune to Cipro dosing if it's overused like any other antibiotic?
First of all, brown jelly disease is not a disease. Brown jelly disease is symptom. It's a symptom of bacterial infection. It's not a single disease at all. It's basically brown jelly disease doesn't exist. Just like boogeyman. Oh, maybe boogeyman exists. So, brown jelly disease is not there. There's no such thing as brown jelly disease. What you're looking at is the corals are decaying fresh.
Yeah.
It's a symptom coming from like a bacterial infection, even virus infection, or coral warfare, or get eaten by the neighboring coral. Brown jelly disease is a symptom. It's not a disease. So for matter of fact, if you keep treating your coral with low dose of Cipro, yes, you are breeding antibiotic resistant bacteria. Okay? But the story does not end here with Cipro. Let's go to the next slides. Okay, so if you look at your Cipro, the instruction for taking Cipro, it tells you do not take any calcium or magnesium supplement when you're taking Cipro. Why is that? Because Cipro can bind to calcium and magnesium. Then the efficacy just drop to the bottom.
So it's pointless in a reef tank.
Yeah, reef tank has 1,400 ppm of magnesium, 400 ppm of calcium. When your Cipro hit your saltwater tank, not much left. Seriously, even you are using half kilo of Cipro, while the effective Cipro is probably not much.
So it's more a placebo that you think you're doing something good.
Yeah, you think you're doing something. For matter of fact, there's in one of the talk I gave before, there's scientific literature showing that iodine dip is better than Cipro for treating bacterial infection, external bacterial infection in saltwater, fish, and coral, and those kind of things. Okay, so when you're using Cipro, you're basically looking at a psychological effect, a placebo effect. But of course, many people also use iodine. Then, so if your iodine is doing the job, it's not the Cipro. And also the Cipro is our last line of defense so far. And you flush down to the toilet, you go to the public treatment system, you don't dispose them properly, you ruin our future by using our last lines of defense. Okay, so with that said, if you try to reach to your Cipro, for matter of fact, I do have a bottle of Cipro here for fish disease, a piece of crap. I got it before that they banned it from Chewy, one of the online retailers. So this is trash can it goes. So when you reach to your Cipro, just tell yourself, don't do it. It's useless. It's a waste of money. It's not good for anybody. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
That's good for us in the UK because whenever we get issues in the UK, obviously we can't get antibiotics over the counter. We get none of this stuff. But when we get an issue and we go on the forums though, and everyone says, "Oh, you need to use Cipro," well, we can't get it anyway, so it doesn't mean anything to us.
Actually. The wholesaler, the importer, and coral seller, and if you have a prescription, yes, people can use it. You just need a prescription. Yeah.
Have you ever used it before, Terrill? You used it down there, Poo Tang? Ever used anything like this?
I have, because I'll admit it, I fell into that, and I was trying to test ways to try and figure out how to save torches that ended up getting brown jelly on them, and it's, again, I could never say, some I kept, some recovered, some didn't, and I could never really say whether or not it worked, but I did go down that same thought process of unless you know the correct dosage and unless you're doing it correctly, which we're probably not doing. Like you just said, you are going to create potentially bacteria resistant, resistant strains of bacteria, and that is going to cause a bigger problem in the hobby.
Just while you're talking about torches there for a second, sorry, Dong. So if somebody has experiencing a dying torch head, which unfortunately does happen, in your experience, Dong, Terrill, how should somebody deal with it? If it's a colony, should they just...
Iodine.
Okay. Straight on.
Yeah, just iodine dip. Yeah, iodine dip. Because when you use Cipro, is basically deactivated by your salt water anyway. First, you don't have the proper dose. Second thing is your calcium, magnesium interfere with the potency of Cipro. So, yeah, there's no reason to use it. But oxalic acid is a different story. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah. So that's just a message. Do not use Cipro. But oxalic acid, even though it's an analog of Cipro, so they look alike. They're same class antibiotic. But oxalic acid doesn't have part of the molecule that bind to the magnesium and calcium.
And the key thing is there, it says at the top, veterinary drug for use in aquaculture. Cipro and things like, I think even metronidazole have come from like the poultry industry, used on birds and chickens and stuff. So people have just assumed they could use it on fish and coral. It doesn't really work. You have to get something specific.
You're absolutely correct. Because when you use in bird and pigs and cow, Cipro does work. Because you are not putting them into an environment so much calcium, magnesium there.
Yeah.
So, but oxalic acid does not have that problem. Because oxalic acid does not have the that molecule property that bind to the calcium and magnesium.
Yeah.
So that's why that in aquaculture, oxalic acid actually work. But how do you get the oxalic acid? That's your problem.
So come on, you can't make these statements without backing it up. So if somebody wanted to use this or get it, how would they source it? How would they treat? How would they use it?
You mean the oxalic acid?
Yeah.
Go to your vet and get prescription.
So it's prescription. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. But keep in mind that the oxalic acid, it is very similar to Cipro. That means they still need to dose a lot. For example, hypothetically, if you want to use oxalic acid, if you can get to it, I will add about 500 milligrams of oxalic acid in about 2 gallons of salt water, and don't do a full tank treatment, but do a small QT tank. So you basically do a 5-6 day treatment in a QT tank.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, and then the dosage should be very similar. 500 milligram in 2 gallon of water should do. Or sometimes you can even do less than that.
A question from EOI Kumar Dong to you. Will hydrogen peroxide work for brown jelly as well?
Actually, hydrogen peroxide it kills bacteria. So if your coral already developed brown jelly disease, you see that brown jelly on it. That means it's already too far gone. What I will do is just cut it off or toss the dead head before the bacteria spread to the other coral. And then I dip the healthy coral with iodine.
Right.
Yeah. That's how I deal with it. Okay, so next slide, please. This is just another scientific article to back up what I'm saying. So I like
in case anybody questions your knowledge.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that for reference, because as a scientist, reference is very important. If you want to make a statement, want to say something, you need to have some scientific reference back it up. So when I'm doing research, if the Google AI tell me blah, 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 I always look into the source of that information. If the source saying that from reef to reef or from some kind of vendor's website, delete, move over. It has to be a scientific literature.
Fair enough.
That is a more reliable source. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So there's one question is that the coral calcification day versus night. So yes, that's true, because the coral calcify like 5 times, 4 times, sometimes in general about 2 to 3 times higher calcification rate than oxalic acid is available on Amazon, but I think that you need a prescription, right?
Don't know.
Wow, I need to look into that, but
it always goes back to Amazon with Dong, doesn't it? He's got them shares going again.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I do not own any Amazon stock, so it's just convenient. Okay, so talk about calcification is that yes, your coral definitely, your SPS definitely grow a few times faster during daytime at when the light is shining. And then the calcification is significantly reduced at nighttime. And that actually roll back to the pH question. So since the calcification is not that significant during nighttime, your pH affecting the coral is really not that important. There's also scientific literature showing that, the nighttime pH is really not that critical. because your calcification activity is much lower. And
Cool.
it is called the light enhanced calcification. So all that, back to the simple idea, is that let the nature take its course. There's no need to artificially inflate the pH or alkalinity at night. Even you dose a lot of things at night, the coral is not going to use it.
But what about setting it up for a jump when lights come on then? For
It's kind of natural.
The jump actually is gradual. It's not like you turn your light, then boom, it's like not like that. But it's gradually ramp up when the photosynthesis activity ramp up, and then you will keep going up until the light turns off, it ramp down.
But if you've ramped your pH higher than normal overnight, then when you get that ramp up, it's going to be even higher though, surely.
So I've told people, like,
okay.
I've said it like this, you know, you could if you focus on keeping the pH just high overnight, you're essentially trying to, you think you're lowering your pH bottom, so it makes it the whole thing jump.
Yeah,
but
so the bands, so instead of this range,
over a 24-hour period, the whole baseline jumps up. You'll watch over a period of time, so you'll see if you just overdose for 24-hour period, you'll see it naturally. The whole thing will shift over time, so it'll shift equally. As I'm saying, so it's not like you're raising the bottom for it to shoot up higher during the day. I've seen where it just kind of naturally moves higher.
I think that the pH thing is heavily depend on, assuming you do not have dying things in your tank, assuming you do not overfeed with frozen food. There's no decaying organic material in your tank. Under this situation, your pH actually heavily depend on the carbon dioxide level in your room. And think about it, the CO2 scrubber can help only to a certain extent, because CO2 carbon dioxide enter the water through the water surface. So your skimmer only is a portion of your CO2 intake of your reef aquarium. The open surface, your overflow, that's a gigantic surface area. Try to imagine your overflow. And also the water going through the baffle or in your sump. The surface that exposed to the air, that's where the CO2 entering the water to lower your pH. So
there's one more. Sorry,
John.
There's one more thing that I think's worth saying as well is a lot of people have this idea in their head that if you're dosing a pH buffer, let's say hypothetically, I've got a bottle of pH buffer to buffer my pH to 8.3. If I dose my tank up to 8.3 and then think what we just said, I want to bump it a bit higher, so I'll pour a bit more in. By putting more buffer in, it doesn't make the pH higher. It just stabilizes 8.3 better. So the more you add doesn't increase the pH, it just puts more buffering capacity in to stabilize pH. You can't go past the buffering level of the buffer, if that makes sense.
Absolutely correct.
Jamie, pour it in while we're watching, see what happens.
Yeah, you told me. It's 4.1%. I can't go higher than that, right?
So that is why the sodium hydroxide or your cod water acts differently than a buffer. Because that a hydroxide itself is not a buffer. It actually reacts with the carbonic acid to raise your pH. But which means you can raise the pH to a dangerously high to kill your coral.
Which is what?
So
what would you say was too high?
If you pass 9, that is too high.
Okay.
Yeah, that will interfere with lots of biological function of the coral, because the pH actually affect so many biological function, how the coral works. So basically, there's something called a proton pump. It has a lot to do with proton pump. Proton, it basically is the hydrogen plus. That's your acidity. That's the acid. So what happened is that the coral have this little machinery on their skin, and then they keep pushing the expelling acid out of their from the internal of the skin and try to keep a higher pH inside. Or if they want a lower pH in certain area, then they have the proton pumping from the environment to that. So basically, pH is biologically regulated inside the coral. The external pH in the water is not dictating, but helping the coral to manipulate its internal pH. But if the external pH in the water goes haywire, basically that it mess up many of these gradient equilibrium thing. Then we will spend 24 hours to talk about that. But basically, is that I think the pH about 8.8, 8.9 is dangerous high. Well, provided you have a good pH meter, your pH meter actually telling you the true pH. Yeah. So
that's why I
one
say
time
mine is more of a trend than it is knowing what the number
a trend.
is. So don't think that you need to reach my pH. Mine's a trend. I don't know what the actual.
It's a trend. The trend is more important. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Then here's an interesting question: is that this graph actually showing you, the light, your LED or metal halide, whatever, definitely increase your calcification, but only to a certain extent.
All right. Okay.
Look at this research. Yeah, look at that. So the horizontal X, the X is the light intensity. You can see the PAR level, the micromole per photon, blah, blah, blah. And then the calcification rate, you can see that when the light reach about 200 PAR, then you start to slow down the calcification. And you reach 400 PAR, basically they're not much different than 300 PAR. And basically the whole curve basically just taper off. That actually is telling you zap your coral with more light. Doesn't give you the coral, that the coral does not grow faster.
Yeah, it's not infinite, is it? It stops somewhere.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then when you reach past 400 PAR, you are risking to go into a photoinhibition. That means that the photoinhibition, that means that too much light zapping on the coral. And the good scenario is that the coral just close up, shrivel up, not doing anything. But if the light continue to goes up and you go to photoinhibition, that can damage the photosynthesis machinery in the symbiosis algae.
That's interesting.
And also you're wasting a lot of electricity by zapping too much light onto the coral.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
350. Yeah. Go ahead.
Where that graph is now, so we've got our light, we've hit our limit of calcification rate of 150 at a certain, say 200 PAR.
Yeah.
Could that curve shift up if the nutrient level was higher, or we played around with other inputs, or is that just a biological fact? It stops at that light intensity.
For matter of fact, that the other study will show that the nutrient definitely will change this the flat line, and also different species of coral respond differently.
I'm thinking with that, like a farming aspect. If people are trying to grow coral and pump coral out at like the most efficient rate, if you can find that sweet spot of slightly higher phosphate, higher nitrate, whatever it may be, could you make that calcification quicker and more effective? Can you manipulate biology?
And no. Yes and no, because it is so coral dependent. But in general, from experience, so let's say if you have a 350 to 400 PAR for most of the coral, that is pretty suitable. And then you have some 5-10 ppm of nitrate and 0.1 ppm of phosphate. Yeah, that is a general from experience that works pretty well. But
bearing in mind though that you've got to be able to get accurate information to know whether or not this is actually happening, and you can measure it properly.
Yes, that's true. And also different species coral, especially when people love to have a mixed reef. Yeah. So it's not absolute. No. But when you hit your tank with extremely high PAR, definitely some coral is not going to be happy. We see a lot of Charles start bleaching out and dying, that kind of thing. And especially these days with electricity so expensive, there's no reason to hit our coral with so much par. And also there's another thing. Yeah, there's another important thing. It's not about the absolute par. It's about the total photon being zapped into the tank in the photo period. So if your light has a lower par, and actually photosynthesis will carry on longer until it's satisfied. And if you have a very high par, the photosynthesis may finish about, for certain coral, maybe finish in about 2 hours. You just sit there.
Yeah, I can absolutely prove this. I've seen this happening in real life. It's probably every reefer in this chat has. Since I've had the Strattons on here, I started them off at 40%, and over the last 4 weeks, I've gone up to 65%. No surprise to me that I've had to up my dosing, alkalinity, magnesium, because that consumption has gone through the roof as well with that light spectrum, that light intensity going up. So it's kind of this graph in action right behind me. As the light's gone up, I've had to turn all the dosing up. So it speaks to it. So that's where I was going earlier. Am I expecting to, as I want to ramp up to around about 80% eventually, is there going to be a point where I don't have to keep up in the dosage anymore? Is it going to hit a point and tell me where it stopped?
Yeah. And keep in mind that all our parameters are flawed. It's not all the parameters not telling you everything. So this is all about experience, all about just take the middle ground.
And I've seen the
nothing
opposite.
Is absolute.
So I had the photo inhibition in my tank to where everything was still growing, everything was colored, but you could tell where I was giving it a little bit too much. And as I started coming back off of my light intensity, I would notice where my alkalinity consumption would go up. So I would see.
Because that if the coral go into photo inhibition, that means it stop doing photosynthesis. Actually, it's negative effect. So if you dial it back down and the coral going back to the normal photosynthesis rate, so basically everything has a limit. It's not higher the better, that kind of thing. So let's go to the next slide.
Sorry, Terrill, you're in coral tables then, aren't you? So raceways, VATs, whatever you were called. So you've got different species. So how does that work with you guys? Do you just you set it and everybody? When I say everybody, I mean the corals. They have to deal with what you've given them in terms of lighting.
For the most part, I try to get even par around it, and the ones that get really upset in their spots, then I'll really try to make an effort to move them to a better spot. But I try my best to set it, leave it. Stop messing with it. Most of the time they adapt to it, but the ones that don't adapt, I'll move somewhere else. But we still have the displays too, and that one's a tough one where I'm getting good ranges of par throughout the tank, and again now that one's a little bit more of a dance to put certain things in the right area.
Absolutely, because the coral is highly adaptable.
Yes.
This is why I'm loving where I am. This tank now is only 7 months old behind me. And it really is like you're playing God at the moment because everything's growing in. I'm nowhere near where I want to be as a final product in terms of coral coverage, but everything I'm adjusting, I'm seeing an effect. There's a cause and effect of everything I'm doing at the minute. Literally playing God, changing one little thing and seeing the corals react to it.
Yep.
And then I come on a Friday night live stream with you, Dong, and you're telling me exactly what I've just been observing, but putting it into a scientific spin. Yeah, it's like it's all falling together for me because the timing's perfect. Like.
Let me just jump into the audience who are asking questions on the basis of some of this conversation. So Mo is asking, does 400 part in an LED tank have the same effect as 400 part in a metal halide tank?
Hell no. Totally different.
Okay.
Because the thing is that the parameter we use are highly limited in terms of the spectrum they can detect. So the metal halide actually has a much broader spectrum than LED that we have. But then we will go into the rabbit hole of LED versus metal halide. I think that went too far. So what I'm trying to say, so I think the best thing is that both LED and metal halide can grow coral perfectly fine.
Yeah.
350, I think, is a very sweet spot for both of them. Actually, for metal halide, LED, and T5, all three of them, 350 part, perfect, fine. Not too high, it's a Goldilocks zone. Not too high, not too low. Everybody is fine. Even though the metal halide is 350, or 400 is different than LED at that same par, because the spectrum is different. And then, but the coral is highly adaptable. As long as we are within the range of the adaptation.
Sorry to put a spanner in the works. Just explain the difference between the par and the spectrum then, for people, again, for the benefit of people watching at home. So, how would they understand? How does that? Just give it in layman's terms, in simple terms, for people. Please.
So basically, metal halide give you a much wider spectrum.
Yeah.
That means that LED normally we're looking at 398 nanometer, all the way. That means that on the near UV, all the way go to the deep red, about 660 nanometer. That's the LED spectrum. Like assuming it's like this. So metal halide spectrum can on the shorter wavelength end can extend to 360, 380, and then on the red end you go to the near infrared. So that means that a metal halide spectrum is like that wide. LED spectrum is like that wide. And when you use a par meter, the par meter only pick up that much. Literally. Yeah. And also that the par meter has a weighting, has a mathematic equation to calculate what the sensor detect. So that means that if you receive one proton in red, you weight it differently from one proton than in blue spectrum. So our par meter is basically a piece of crap, but it just gives you a rough idea about what it is. Don't trust your par meter too much. That's why I take a middle ground.
Yep. What you could do is a good example is go to your lights, and like for instance the reef readers, you can go take a look at your 440 nanometer spectrum and above, and you could ramp those up, and then you could read, let's say 200 par. Then you could read your 438 and below, and you have roughly an equal number of diodes, but you're going to read a lot less par. So, you would think that, something's missing out of it that par meter is not picking up. So and that's with knowing your spectrum, and that I like what you said with that, the metal halides are an entirely different spectrum than what these or whatever else you're running. And I think knowing the spectrum that your light runs is going to have an effect too on what par you can kind of settle in. Because mine, I run 270 to 350, but I find 270 I'm great at. It's more than enough, but I'm making the correction in my mind that I'm probably getting a little bit higher than what I'm reading.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So actually, the on the later slide, I'm going to retouch about this spectrum thing. Let's go to the next slides. There's more.
Jamie, are you getting beers delivered to you?
Just got delivery. Yeah.
Oh wow.
One thing to
me and Dong are doing something wrong. Because Terrill and getting stuff delivered.
Nobody served me.
I just got one serious point to add to what we just said there, right? So I think to contextualize it, us as reefers will go out and buy a piece of equipment, let's say a par wise for 400 quid, or a salinity probe or a Hannah checker for 100 quid. And we think that's an expensive piece of kit. It should be accurate. Just to put it into context, I use a photometer at work, which is a Hannah meter is a photometer. A Hannah might cost me 120 quid. I use a piece of equipment at work that is £16,000 to give me readings. They're worlds apart in accuracy and difference. What we're getting as amateur reefers is just bucket chemistry.
Yes.
It's very not, very.
There's a few comments. There's a few comments from people. There's a few people commenting about the par wise. I'm going to acknowledge you. Sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. So
okay, let me tell you this story.
Even Matt's got involved in this one. Matty Boy's saying, "What about the Par Wise Pro, which measures C per?" There you go.
Actually, let me tell you this story. A friend of mine, actually, he want to measure the spectrum of my rebreather light. Okay, so then he asked me what kind of spectrometer he need to buy to accurately measure the spectrum. So he found some of the meter from AliExpress, like $400, $600. Okay. So to answer that question, I just contact Logan from Rebreather. I said, "Hey Logan, what kind of spectrometer do you use when designing this light to get an accurate reading?" He sent me the link. $6,000 spectrometer.
Wow.
Yes,
Believe it, yeah.
that's what the professional use to design your LED light. Okay, so the several $100 of a par meter or spectrometer you can buy from AliExpress has their limitation. If that they give you the similar result, nobody in the lighting industry will invest thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to measure their spectral. Think about it. All these consumer grade measurement devices are all toys. They're no
100%.
better than toys. They give you some idea, but they are really not the professional grade thing that you can rely on. So with those information, just take it easy. But the coral is highly adaptable. You probably does not need.
At the same time, we don't need anything as accurate as that as hobbyists.
Yes.
All we need is that level of detail. You know, there's nothing wrong with those products.
I don't think for somebody that has been there, got it kind of the t-shirt, had these toys, less is more. The more things you start relying on, the more things can go wrong, and the more you take your eye off the ball, the less you enjoy the hobby, because the more it becomes a pain in the ass. And so anyway,
let's go move to the next one. There's plenty of stuff. Yep. And also this is another scientific study showing you that the difference between the calcification day and night. So basically we already covered that. So move on.
Sorry, Dong. Really break news bulletin. Penalty is happening. Penalty shootout to Manchester United live in the soccer, as you call it in America.
Oh.
Okay,
all right.
Go for it.
Yeah, that is actually I don't know why that slide will show up here. My bad. So we already covered that. So when a CO2 scrubber is not enough, we already talked about that. We go to the sodium hydroxide and Kaltwasser to manipulate our pH. But keep in mind, these things are not buffers. This thing can ruin your tank if you don't use carefully. Move on, because of more interesting stuff coming on. Of course, that personal protective equipment is needed to handle hydrogen peroxide and Kaltwasser. Actually, here's one important thing. The Kaltwasser is quite hazardous, actually, because that is when you pour them out of the bottle or bag, they go airborne.
I have had a bit of a back of the chest.
So if you inhale that is 1 to 0. Okay. So when you inhale Kaltwasser, actually, well, I think whoever get a 0 should go inhale some Kaltwasser as a penalty. So it definitely can damage your lung. So I saw that Tom's a big mask, a respirator, is highly recommended if you want to deal with Kaltwasser.
That's just from his BDSM drawer. That is. Don't worry.
This is what it recommended for the super glue. And somebody else earlier commented, I think it was Prime Corals or somebody. Sorry, forget your name wrong. That they have to use the same. The more choose my words carefully. It's Friday night. The more I've fragged with super glue, the more I'm needing it. Honestly, the more I'm and when I say glue, I'm talking like little dots, not masses. But it's just must be, poor ventilation or inhaling it. But yeah, not nice.
Yeah, inhaling is a major problem. But for sodium hydroxide, this is your major problem. Get into your eye. Yeah. So when you handle sodium hydroxide, you definitely need eye protection. So I actually get used to, whenever I try to reach for my sodium hydroxide bottle, I automatically put on my eye protection. Because if you got sodium hydroxide powder get into your eye, that is a horrible thing to happen. It burns instantaneously.
Thanks, cool. Tommy's a pippy. Tommy's a peepee. Tommy's a pippy. Okay. I was just quite polite, that. Okay.
Yep.
I'm glad you said that, Dong, because I can now tell everyone that why I've always got bloody panda eyes is because I work in the chemical industry and wear goggles, tight-fitting goggles, pretty much for 8 hours a day sometimes.
No, he doesn't.
Yep.
He's laid on the sunbed in a thong, covered up in bloody sunflower oil or whatever it is.
Have you seen this, Tom?
No, I've heard.
Okay.
I've heard.
The reason I talk about the green fluorescent protein because people ask from last week's live stream with Just Incredible.
Yep.
He's talking about the green fluorescent protein, little basket with a little thing inside poking around. So this is the structure, the green fluorescent protein. So the green thing is like little basket, round basket. On the right-hand side is a top-down view. So the chromophore, the one that's responsible for manipulating your light, is right in the middle. When the light hits it, it bounces around. So let's go to the next slide. If why the animation doesn't work?
Oh.
Oops. It's still not working. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's supposed to be animation that tell you how this the whole thing rotating around with the chromophore, the little thing.
We should have prepped it. Sorry.
Oh yeah, maybe yeah. It's Microsoft.
It's because it's a slide and not an animation. I think.
Oh, actually, when I look at my slide, that thing spins and spins and zoom in. But doesn't matter. So what happened is that in here are all those chromophores. See, you can see the blue fluorescent protein, the teal one, the green one, the yellow one. So basically, the basket is the same. The basket is the same. The thing inside is called the chromophore are different. That's what gives you a different color of fluorescent protein. That's how you see all this blue color, cyan color, green color, yellow color, and some of them red color. That's why this hobby is so addictive, because of the color. That's how this fluorescent protein works. It's a little chromophore. Okay, then why Coral want to do that? Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Actually, before I answer that question, this slide is very important. Okay. Why Acropora so addictive? Why Acropora has a lot more color than Mondipora, than LPS? Because in Acropora, they have up to 16 different fluorescent protein in there. When you have Mondipora, LPS 3 to 4, 2 to 3. Your Acropora has a huge amount of fluorescent protein that the gene already encoded into the animal. They can express, they can make this fluorescent protein. So Acropora can make up to 16. When your Mondipora only make 2 to 3 or 4. That's why there's so many color difference.
From memory, Mo's an eye doctor. You're gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong. Eye surgeon. But on a Friday, he clearly likes a drink because his spelling tonight has been horrendous. So I don't know how intoxicated he is. Maybe he's been down in some sodium hydroxide and tonic or on the rocks. You'll have to let us know, Mo. But thanks ever so much. Hope you're good. Next slide.
Oh, by the way, this thing is dirt cheap, like $1 a piece on Amazon.
Yes, so no excuse.
Yep.
So no excuse.
Yep. No excuse to not buying one. Okay, now since that Acropora is so colorful, because the reason is that they be able to make a lot more fluorescent protein, different color than other species of coral. That's why they're more colorful. But why they want to do that is that there's several reasons why they want to do that. They want to manipulate the light they receive. That's one reason. For example, when they receive full spectrum light, but mostly the photosynthesis algae only can utilize the blue region and the red region. What happened in the middle? Then in a deeper water, especially Acropora, in a deeper water, the light actually is not a lot of light there. The light is really a precious, valuable thing. Yeah. What they do is that the fluorescent protein is that receive a proton, manipulate the spectrum, reflect it back, and make the spectrum that is normally not usable for the algae to do photosynthesis become available to the algae to do photosynthesis by changing their spectrum.
So Jamie, on the sunbed, you need to change your spectrum. So you're going to have to ask them if they've got a par meter when you're on the sunbed. And if you can change the spectrum next time you go on, maybe a bit of AB plus, the Ecotech Radion, AB plus, maybe 10 minutes.
Maybe Tom, maybe at the barbecue, I'll show you all my white bits if you like.
No, you're right. Okay.
The other reason they want to do that is as a UV shield. They express a fluorescent protein like sunscreen, so that it is well known of that. So the reference is from the Woodhull Oceanographic Institute. So that's I cited their whatever they said. But here's the interesting thing. Since Aquapora be able to express so many different color, the fluorescent protein, that means they change color easily. So sometimes you ask why your $100 frag of home wrecker turned to a $5 green piece of crap, because it's Aquapora. The fluorescent protein expression, that means that when they make the protein, is heavily depend on the environment, what kind of light they receive, what kind of nutrient level they receive. Then do they have to make certain color? Well, the number one rule of thumb in the ocean is that if they do not have to spend the energy to make something, they don't do it. So that's why your home wrecker under your Radion LED, he's saying, hey, I have no reason to express the pink rim on my coral line. Sure, then they don't do it. And then your $100 frag become a $5 piece of crap. Okay? Because Aquapora be able to do that. And when you shine under the metal halide, and that home wrecker will say, hell no, I don't like this UV. So I express the pink pigment to shield the UV to protect myself. Now you see the pink rim.
So and only when it's very happy it reveals its pink ring. Okay.
Well, it's not very happy to get a pink rim because you have to.
Let me ask the Poo Tang now. Terrill, have you got any corals that like to? You know what I'm getting at, yeah. All right, okay. Let me wind it back. You know, I mean, it is Friday night afternoon over where you are. Any corals that people buy from you that are quite often people get frustrated with, maybe for not getting the coloration that they saw on the website, or asking for specific advice on how to get coloration?
I mean, I get the questions because everybody's tanks is different from mine. Yeah. So, you know, and I have a wide range of people from beginner all the way to, you know, super advanced. So everything's kind of unique. But I mean, yeah, every once in a while people will tell me, and then you know, but I'll see pictures left and right where it's either spot on, or I'm always expecting some slight, it looks, you know, some variations in their tank, whether it be through their lights, what they're feeding, how they're taking their pictures, what time they're taking their pictures at. So a lot of variation in there, but mostly everything that I have generally comes up with, you know, the same color. And I would say the ones that are the strongest survive and then make their way to everybody else. If it's not that strong, and if it's not, you know, hardy and keeping the color easy, then usually I'm not keeping it. Yeah. I do, but I don't as much. I
saw in the comment, this is a very interesting comment. So don't 10 years look better under LED than halide? Yes, absolutely true. That is big. Well, let me tell you this. The thing is that metal halide is not truly a full spectrum light. That's a misconception. If you look at metal halide, they're nowhere near full spectrum light. So halide versus LED, they just have different spectrum, but they are not totally continuous. And some wavelength that doesn't exist in metal halide, which also exists but exists in LED, is around 460 or 4 something. And that actually exciting certain fluorescent protein. That's why that 10 years aqua look better under LED. For matter of fact, most of coral look better under LED than halide. Because even you get a radium 20K halide, halide is not a full spectrum light. T5 is not a full spectrum light. Seriously. LED is not a full spectrum light. The sun is a full spectrum light, but under the sun, all the coral looks like crab. That's what it is. That's the truth. They're different light source, but the coral be able to manipulate the light wavelength to make them all useful. See, that's what the fluorescent protein is for. Either is under halide T5 of LED, the coral will adapt to it. During this adaptation, the coral color change to adapt to the lighting environment.
Well, I'm going to throw a spin on it from a zoologist's perspective. Dong's the master chemist, you all know that. But I went down a rabbit hole the other night reading about exactly this topic about coloration in coral. And there was a study I came across. I'll try and find it for you, Dong, and send it over to you. About how corals also react to predation pressure in the wild, and they can change color based on that. So I think it was based around the red spectrum. It might be fluorescent probe, but it's around the red spectrum where certain fish can't see the red spectrum. So if a big colony is getting nipped or eaten or destroyed by a certain fish species, predation pressure, they'll change their pigmentation to try and, for want of a better word, hide, blend in.
Yes.
And
yes.
So it could be that.
That's true.
So I've got corals in my tank. Obviously, I've got a load of angelfish. So the coral colours are never going to be as good as they were when I was in my frag system. Maybe that could be at play. The angels are pests and nipping them, and they've all tried to change colour to hide, and now they just all look shit because of that. I don't know.
Yeah. In addition to that, coral also communicates through color, fluorescent color. But it's a mystery why they want to do that. It's not well understood. So the bottom line is that if you are really into aquapora, be prepared that your aquapora will look quite different when the nutrient level different, light level different, light spectrum different. They will change color.
I think that makes it fun though, a little bit, doesn't it? That you experiment a little bit. Makes it a little bit fun.
Actually, one of my friends experienced this. He bought many different coral, aquapora, with all different kinds of names. Okay. Then after about 6 months to a year, all this coral he liked turned into a red planet. Same color under his tank. When he just got it, it looks different. Oh, this is Suicide Squad. And that guy, some kiss my ass, whatever.
Well, then it's funny. It's really funny that you should say that, because I have got, and I don't know the Latin name, so excuse me here, but very similar to a PC rainbow, right? Coral. I've got 7 different frags that came from different shops under different, or hobbyists, mixture of both, under so many different names. Well, so many, there's only 7, but enough. And they're all various places of the tank. I reckon they've all been in about 18 months now. And I would say that all of them, bar one, so 6 out of the 7 are identical when you take a frag.
Yeah.
But they all came as different corals.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And there's another story is that there's a guy actually have the Walt Disney. Okay.
Yeah.
The Walt Disney go into his tank turn green. Become a green coral. So it turns out his water has a very high level of iron. Yes, that can happen too. So sometimes the trace element also affect the coral's color. But the due to aquapora be able to express genetically to make all this color fluorescent protein. That's why you see more color change in aquapora than multipora. If you get a red cap, it's a red cap. Either it's under metal halide or under LED or under nutrient poor, nutrient rich. Well, it's some shades of red. It doesn't turn into a green cap.
This is why I've got so much. I've got so much like respect, and I feel bad for you guys as coral farmers and vendors that you got all these stunning corals in your own systems, and then they could go into Joe Blogg's tank tomorrow, whose water quality is shite off the charts and it changes colour, or his water quality can be perfect, but a fish nips it and it changes colour. You got everything against you, and everyone's going to be blaming you, saying you've missold me whatever you have. But there's so much.
That's so common.
Deal with all that.
Yeah.
I think most of us know the reasons and know that know that it could take 6 months, 8 months, a year to settle and get back to what it should be.
Yep.
But for the average sort of newbie, they might not know that and think, I've just spent 200 quid on this high-end frag and now it's green. And they're like, you know what I mean?
But you're right. And that, again, always goes back to me down to the marketing side of it. It's how people are sold the dream or the concept of something, whether it's a piece of equipment, whether it's a fish, whether it's a coral that we're talking about. And they think that by buying that for $100 or £80, whatever it is, that's what it's going to look like when it goes in their tank. And unfortunately, that is the placebo of reefing to an extent.
Yep. Yes.
But that's the allure that people you sell them the dream and they get the challenge of trying to achieve what you have achieved, and they like what you see.
That's it.
I think tempering expectations, and I guess that comes down to like me as a vendor. Like I try to talk with people and say, hey, look, like when you look at my systems and you see how it looks, and you got to realize that I'm at a different level where I can be in this every single day and tend to it and try to keep it. And a lot of other people have lives and work, and they're gone for a majority of their day. They got weekends, they're busy with family, so they don't have the time they can put into this. So it's tempering expectations and giving them an idea of where they can land, what they can expect to see in their own tanks with this coral, and at least the range of it. Not saying, hey, you may not get all of this, but at least you're going to get a good looking piece. And I've gotten good feedback on, usually the pieces that have gone out tend to roughly stay the same, minus a few that are oddities, and it kind of makes you wonder, but in general.
Well, you guys can always say, like, here's a picture of the mother colony, so this is what it came from. This is what you can get, and it works both ways. Me as a consumer, I love going to read like random shops and looking at their sort of bargain tray and thinking, I can pull, that's a cheap piece of aqua, I can pull that around, I can make that 10 times better than what it is.
Once you've wiped all the flatworm off.
Once you've done all that, but you can buy a shitty brown wild or maricultured colony that looks pretty crappy, and I know for sure that it wasn't like that when it came in, and I could probably get it back to something. So I'll take a punt on a cheap coral sometimes to give it a go.
Yes, absolutely. So that's why when you're shopping for coral, so on some of the wholesaler list, and they will. Sometimes I see a label on a 10-year saying that has potential. Right. But that's very true. That is very, very true. And those 10 years can, maybe it's a brown piece of crap, but then in your tank, it can turn to brilliant color. Yeah. So I don't know how familiar in UK about this zoensis called the purple people eater. In US, that is the first name zoensis back 20-something years ago. I happen to know that lady. His boyfriend, her boyfriend, is the one who named this zoensis as a purple people eater after the song. So when that colony of zoensis pull out from the ocean, it's a brown piece of zoensis, totally not attractive. But under the metal halide, it turned into brilliant purple with a green mouse in the middle. And then he named it Purple People Eater. And then it was selling for back then $60, $50 a polyp. For matter of fact, that colony of the zoensis get that girl through her college.
Nice.
Yeah, it's that much money. But that is coming from a totally not colorful brown piece of zoensis. It happened to turn into the brilliant color under artificial lighting.
But that's why we do this, isn't it? Because we're always chasing those special pieces, and like Terrill said as well. I like the challenge of keeping my coral looking as good as it should be, and if it bottoms out and browns out for 6 months, fine by me, because I'm in it for the long haul. I like the challenge of getting it back. That's the whole point, right?
And the nice thing,
and for example, I have a colony of 10 years in this tank. It was given to me because it's like cream color, absolutely no color whatsoever. It's cream, dirty brown cream color. After several months, now it has a brilliant blue tip with red polyp. It turned out to be Angry Bird.
Nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
that's what it is. So he bought that piece of coral off some kind of online vendor. He totally forgot about it, but the coral grow into the colony, but turned to a brown cream color. So he doesn't want it. He gave it to me, and now it revert back to his breeding brood tip with the red polyp.
Beautiful.
So Acropora tenuis, it happened to be one of them. It changed color so easily. The so-called rainbow tenuis. Walt Disney, a rainbow tenuis. Angry Bird is a rainbow tenuis. And whatever blah 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 name is a rainbow tenuis.
I think we also spoke about this on a previous stream. I think it was a couple of weeks back about when you go to like a coral show, and a lot of the vendors that will sell tiny little frags. They cut the tips off of a colony, which is the most colourful part of a colony anyway, and they sell a frag as an amazing new variety. Whereas the mother colony is like, it might just be green with a pink tip. And they sell you the pink tip, and you don't know, do you?
Or the pink ring.
Or the pink ring, yeah. That's
Well, that's why,
to
that point of, on the seller side, like when we do a lot of live sales on like TikTok, obviously, and I'm constantly going back and I'm showing people frags, and I can walk them over to mother colonies and say, hey, here's the mother colony. This is what it looks like. And it's been X years old. So, hi.
Yeah.
So, he wanted to get in on this. So, so like, that's the transparency I feel like does, really, really, people do like seeing, because not only, you're selling them the dream with a picture, but it's something else entirely.
Well, I was about to say that. Do you not think that? So obviously people know what its potential is, but then equally, do you not think that people could get different results that they might think are better than you, even?
Maybe. Yeah, and if they can, choice. they got a special piece that they've done something that I couldn't do in my tank.
It happened all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes I went to a friend's house. I said, "Hey, that piece of coral looks fabulous. I want a piece." They said, "That's from you." So, oh, really?
Fair enough. Okay. Question from the audience. Do you guys those individual trace elements, or just do a standard trace 1, 2, and 3?
Okay, here's the thing. Dosing trace element. Well, it is true that trace element does affect coral's color. That's for sure. Because in order to synthesize certain fluorescent protein, normally the biological synthesis works is that it has to the big protein have to complex to a certain metal and change its shape and then started doing its job. So the trace element can be important for allow your coral to make certain color protein. Okay, but here's the thing: if you're dosing individual element, then I will ask this question: how do you prevent overdose? Because all the trace element, if not all of them, most of them are transitional metal, which means when the level become high, it can become toxic. And there's two major thing about dosing trace element, two hurdle. One, we do not know how much is the right amount. Second, we cannot accurately detect how much actually in the water column by the current technology. Forget about what the ICP tells you. Okay, because if you want to spend $1,200 for your ICP, yes, I believe your result. If you spend $50 for your ICP, hell no. I just give you some kind of snapshot, that kind of thing. So dosing trace element, the lucky thing is that the trace element concentration doesn't seem to be that critical. It's more like, that's only from experience. It's more like you have it or you don't have it that makes a big difference. Yeah.
It's there to be. The coral doesn't tell you whether it's going to need it or not.
Yeah,
but it's there. It can use it basically.
Exactly. So then, if you do those like a trace element pack, like mixed together, I don't see there's any advantage by dosing individually versus dosing a pack, because we don't know. We do not know how much is needed. We don't know how much is too much. and we do not know that what is needed. Yeah, just those are 1 to
I think
ABC.
there's too many variables in there, in everybody's own individual.
Yeah, too many variables.
Too many variables.
Too many variables.
Now,
The
let me
chase
ask
style.
the animals, the setup. There's so many caveats there, isn't there?
Could
Yeah,
we treat
so
the
many
ICP
caveats. You just cannot nail it down. So why
we
not
treat
take
the
it
ICP
easy?
Could
Give
we
it
treat ICPs in the same way that we do as, like we were speaking about with, pH earlier, using it as more of a trend rather than a specific number, and like you said,
Exactly.
And I'm totally with
not
you.
having some.
I don't think it's a specific number that you're looking for. I just think you're looking for availability in the water column for the
Yes.
to use it.
Absolutely.
I call it
You have it or not having it.
learning your tank's personality, learning your tank's behavior.
Now per tank, like I can look at certain tanks and I can see that every ICP test consistently, I see certain trace elements coming in low or under, just depending on what's going on. So maybe I can look at those and say, okay, maybe I can increase, because to circumstantial evidence, I have seen trace elements affect a lot of my acropora color directly. And that was and I give the example of I'm Reef moonshiners, and again, it's one way to get to the the end goal. You don't have to do that. There's a lot of ways to do it, but before I got on Reef moonshiners, my system was waning, my color was getting very dull, my acropora wasn't looking good, and then I ended up ordering the moonshiners. I got like 4 elements in, and it was like fluoride, iron, zinc, and maybe another one. And within a few of with just dosing those 4 trace elements, I noticed within a week my acropora like brightened up, like another shade brighter.
But I think
that's a very good point. Because you're ordering 4 instead of the whole package.
Well, I did the whole package eventually, but I just had the 4 available that got there before everything, and I saw in circumstantial that those 4 had an effect. Now I don't know all the extras, how it affected them.
Exactly. So if you look through all these elements, many of them actually scientifically proven are totally bogus. It has no effect, or even toxic. But some of them definitely have, like a fluoride, definitely that from empirical experiment, the fluoride definitely can affect the coral color and coral health. For matter of fact,
people say that doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, actually, here's the thing. Yeah. Fluoride is in your salt mix. Yeah. It's a standard element in your salt mix. It's but fluoride get removed from the water column quite rapidly, either get uptake or whatever. So that's why. But the fluoride originally in your salt mix. So some people dosing some fluoride versus not dosing fluoride, there's a difference. And also depends on what coral people are keeping.
Yes, definitely.
For example, if you're keeping a lot of LPS, you probably won't see too much effect. But if you're keeping a lot of SPS, keep a bird's nest, probably don't see much effect. But if you're keeping a Oregon torque, you see the effect. So that means that when we look at social media, when you look at people's answer, we have to look at what actually they are keeping.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes if you're keeping all leather coral or those, that forget about the trace element. It doesn't even need it.
It can go the other way as well. So you've got the ICP tells you a rough, broad spectrum of where everything is, where the balance is, and all that sort of stuff. But then it can go the other way where, say, for example, you've got a healthy established reef tank and you lose one colony randomly. You don't know why. It happens, right? And you do an ICP and it comes back. And just as an example, someone will say, oh, my beryllium was at 12 ppb and it should have been 0.2 undetectable. That's what's killed my coral. I was like,
yes, that is a very good example.
And I think people just look for a reason why they've lost something in an ICP, and it's probably absolute bullshit. It's nothing to do with it, but because something's out of spec at such a low level, it must be that. It must be that. I don't think it is.
I think ICP is a whole conversation in itself.
Yeah. But one thing I look at ICP is looking at the high level to see what element stands out instead of what element not there. Because when ICP does not detect a trace, it could be the instrumental error. It could be the sensitivity of the machine. But if it tells you have 0.1 ppm of copper, that is a real deal.
That
is what I look at it.
Dong, some people in the audience are saying they're going to send you some corals for you to colour up at home. Mo's saying he's going to send you corals for 5 months, see what you can achieve with them. Acropula is saying he's going to send Dong his cream tenuous, very nice, so he can get it back to an Angry Birds colour.
Absolutely, yeah, you can do that, but I will charge you money for that process.
He's also saying,
it was so expensive. It's much better you go out to buy yourself an Angry Bird.
Are you also saying that ICP tests are useless?
No, they're not useless. But how you look at the data.
Used with the right purpose and the right...
Yeah, used for the right purpose.
But I think it boils down to this question that John Wright's saying.
Bang on, absolutely bang on.
Stops you from enjoying the tank. So what do you want out of the hobby? What are you trying to achieve with your tank?
I think that
statement is golden. Yes, the overthinking thing really stops you from enjoying the hobby. And think about this way: this hobby, a reef tank, is an art, and you are the artist. You should think about yourself as an artist, and this is a flower arrangement under salt water.
Well, it could be an art, or it could be a fart. You know, it could be a really
by the
big
way,
one, or a really small one, a smelly one, really. John is
100% right. I got into this and spent all my money on this because I like sitting here in the evening looking at this. I didn't buy this tank so I could test it for bloody beryllium every 5 weeks.
No, I mean, why get married? Why get married, Jamie? You know, why get married?
I won't go there.
I'll say some people do, depending on what you want out of the hobby. Like some people, really get off on getting into the technical sides of it, the abstract thoughts of it, the chemistry side. So, some people really do dig into overthinking, and they like that.
Yeah.
But I've also seen tanks, Terrill, where people do nothing.
Oh yeah.
And they look amazing. And they do nothing.
Absolutely.
They do nothing.
Those bastards.
I went to a friend's house, okay? And then look at his 120-gallon reef tank. It's bombing. Beautiful large colony of green slimer and purple slimer. Bird's nest going out of control. Beautiful tank. Then I asked him, he was using T5, okay? I said, well, since when you actually changed your T5 ball? He said, 3 years ago. I said, what?
Exactly.
The coral looks fine, the growth fine, and the thing light up. Yeah. That's how often do you change water? Once a month, whatever I feel like it. Well, there's always exceptions in this hobby.
I'll throw this out there, and hopefully it's no detriment to me as a reefer or a professional. But when I used to work in the trade, I used to maintain several private tanks, right? And there's this one guy in North London had a beautiful SPS tank, SPS tank that we used to go to twice a month, so bi-weekly. And he stopped the service because it got expensive or his life changed, whatever it was. And about a year later, he came back in the shop and goes, I want my tank serviced again. And we thought, oh, that first visit is going to be bloody awful. We're going to be pulling out bloody bones and whatever. Got to his house. His tank looked immaculate. The corals were huge. We had to frag so much out of it just to chop it back to even get to the wave makers. It looked amazing. And we was like, well, you've done a really good job. Like, who's been looking after your tank? He's like, oh, I just gave up with it. I was doing water changes with tap water. We're like, you've been paying us and it never looked this good. But
actually, this happens so often. It's a lot to do with what coral you are keeping. So many people have great success because the coral already battle hardened aquaculture coral. They grow from a frag. The frag has been there for like a decade.
But
so, for example,
go on. Sorry, Don.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think that with us, the more we interfere, the more we're trying to make a coral almost convert to our lifestyle and our habit as a reefer, rather than us to them? Does that make any sense?
I think that's the wonderful way to say it, because this is a hobby. We want this thing to adapt to our lifestyle.
Our lifestyle.
Become
That's
a
what I'm
slave.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Don't be a slave of this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So they serve us because this is our hobby, our passion.
Yeah.
They adapt to us, not we adapt to them.
Yeah.
So in this, with that said, is that you need to find those coral that is battle hardened.
The plastic
robust.
ones are really good. The plastic ones, they do really well.
Yeah, exactly. The robotic fish, the robot fish, even better. So,
Oh dear. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the next slide coming on.
yeah, next slide, please. Okay.
Go for it.
This is an interesting concept. Now, people ask me about it. It's called the colorful bleaching event. Now, people ask, is that something real? Yes, it's real.
Looks like a zeolite coral.
That's what exactly what I'm going to say. If you have a zero width tank, you are having a colorful bleaching event.
Yeah, highly stressed environment.
Yeah, it's stress environment. The coral expel the photosynthesis algae, and all the algae are brown. Coral color not coming from the algae. They make their fluorescent protein, the little basket with something bouncing inside. That is made by the coral. It's not made by the algae. Algae always brown. And when coral stress, the first thing is that when you have a financial issue, you cannot even have enough money to buy bread and milk. You kick your talent out or kick your kids out. Yeah, right? So basically, when a coral stress and they cannot even keep themselves happy, they kick the photosynthesis algae out. When that brown color leave the coral, when the coral still have this little basket of fluorescent protein, then you end up with a tank full of a zero width coral. Actually, I'm not joking. I look inside the zero width elements.
Yeah.
They have the element to basically induce coral bleaching. That's what a zero
Is this
width is.
the zeospur by any chance?
No, I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to get sued. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Last week, we have Justin Credible with an incredible presentation. And Justin is the potassium guy. That's why people ask me about the potassium. Then now here we go. Potassium channel happen on you and me, on the coral, on the snail, on the bacterial, on every living thing. Yes, bacterial too. So potassium channel, this guy, this crazy looking guy look like Liam Neeson. Yeah, I have the special skill. He actually won the Nobel Prize at 2003 because of the potassium channel. Next slide, please.
Wow. Okay. Sorry.
Wow.
There we go.
Okay. The role of the potassium channel actually sum it up very important. So why this important? Why the high potassium level is so important? Why the low potassium level is so dangerous? Because most of the marine invertebrate include actually as well as bacteria, they try to accumulate, maintain much higher potassium level than their surrounding water by pumping potassium in.
Right.
So, yeah, to maintain, because potassium is like signaling currency inside the biological system. A lot of biological function is relying on this signal of the potassium. So that's why they need a lot of potassium inside the body, much higher level than the outside, to maintain a biological function. What happens if the potassium level is much lower than natural seawater? Natural seawater about 400 ppm potassium. Oh yeah, and there's a two effect. One thing, they're harder to take potassium in. Second, worse, it leaches potassium out because of osmosis effect.
And that's exactly why a freshwater dip for fish for a couple of minutes works really well, because the parasites can't handle that influx and outflux of ions.
Yep.
But the higher organism can handle it better, so it works.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Bacterial, even more important for the potassium. because the marine bacteria has up to 50 times higher potassium level inside the bacterial cell than over the surrounding water.
Okay.
Bacterial potassium deficiency actually is a big critical thing for the bacteria to survive and function. When your potassium level is low, your bacteria is not going to be happy. So before you dose bacteria, make sure your potassium level is up to par.
Well, is potassium
50
something? Is potassium something you look at, Terrill, at Poo Tang? Anything?
I mean, generally stays where I need it to, so I'm not usually watching it. You know, I'm getting it in my general dosing and salt.
Okay.
So when your potassium level is around the natural seawater, like the 400 ppm, you're fine.
Yeah.
It seems to be very similar to calcium levels. Is that right?
Yes. Actually, as it's supposed to be, right. Calcium level 350, 380 to 400 in the natural seawater. So natural seawater potassium about 400, 425. Yeah, similar as a calcium level. Okay. But they do entirely different thing. Potassium is so important for the biological living thing to communicate. Yeah. Potassium 420, perfect. Yeah. So that's why that before you dose bacteria or anything, double check your potassium. I have seen potassium level as low as 200.
When you say double check though, check using what? Because in the UK we're limited.
Salifert test kit.
Okay.
Very simple. The Salifert test kit, potassium pretty. Huh?
Well, apparently John's bought a potassium test kit based off last week's stream.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, the only time I've done potassium is just on the ICP if it comes on that, but I've never tested.
Well, the ICP is pretty okay to look at your potassium level, but spending $50 for the get a potassium level, that's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So a potassium test kit is about $17 or $20, something like that, and is just test the potassium, just like testing your calcium.
I've just realised that Poo Tang's experienced that moment where Lindsay's doing all the housework. He's sat here on the live stream. She's clearly thinking, "Hang on a minute, you're sat here while I'm doing all the work. I'm going to put you on big screen. Let's really call you out. Yeah, there you go. And I'm just going to start. I'm going to start making some noises now, so that
she can't hear
people know
I'm
here. I know she can't hear a thing.
I spilled water over here, so I had him like, oh crap. Let me put it on mute and get it cleaned up.
Okay, let's go to the next slide.
What, Dong, one minute before you do.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, it's still relevant.
Yeah, same potassium.
You just said there potassium is massively prevalent in marine bacteria.
Yeah.
So why, in that case, then, why is potassium chloride such an effective dip for stuff if it's already prevalent in a lot of pathogens?
Thing number one, potassium chloride is not an antibiotic reagent. So the potassium chloride dip is for parasite, not for the bacteria. So what happens is that you take advantage of the parasite, like the flatworm. They have a potassium channel on their skin. So your coral also have potassium channel on the skin. But when you dip your coral in the potassium chloride solution, your coral slime up. The slime generated from your coral actually protecting the coral from the potassium overwhelming. But your flatworm cannot. So your flatworms, the potassium channel get messed up. And the effect when the potassium channel get messed up, the first thing is spasm. Basically, it's a nerve pulse. So the flatworm will curl up and fall off from the coral.
Yeah.
And then you die. That's how the potassium chloride does work. By messing up the potassium channel.
Interesting.
But that's why don't dip your coral too long in the potassium chloride channel chloride solution, because that prolonged exposure to potassium 5-10 minutes I won't even do more than 5 minutes, seriously, can have serious effect on the coral when you dip it too long.
I've always done 10, so
I've experienced this recently. Is doing corals in dips, for too long, and corals not happy.
So what is protecting the coral is the slime. Yeah. Okay. So potassium chloride is dirt cheap. I do not own any stock of Amazon, but it's convenient. And you buy the good stuff. Okay. You do not buy a stump killer, a tree stump killer, weed killer, that kind of potassium. You buy the food grade. You buy the human one. Yeah.
Well, we had the one we use over here is a D&D product called Reef Primer. Is Reef Primer in it?
Reef Primer is potassium and chloride.
It tends to be a little bit more delicate with certain corals, or a little bit softer.
But if you remember, about maybe 6 months ago, we went through a phase of nowhere in the UK had it. There was no Reef Primer bloody anywhere. Couldn't get it for love nor money. So then we all started using the sort of herbal-based dips. And found that those were brilliant. So I think I'm loath to go back to potassium chloride now. I'm sticking with the herbal-based sort of tea tree oil sort of stuff. Like,
they work. That thing works, and it works very well.
That's it. That's the Niles one's really good.
Yeah, it works very well. The Niles dip, it works really well. It also has a very nice smell. That is a good one. It works by different kind of mechanism, but it works.
Now you can't get potassium chloride out there.
It's back in stock now, but we had like a 6 month hiatus though, where it was in the country.
I know they have the primer, but
why is that?
God knows. You can buy it from like APC Pure.
Yeah,
and stuff.
you can buy it. You can buy it like the raw ingredient, the raw material to do it yourself. But the Reef Primer was one I'd always used. And you know what it's like. As soon as you've used something and you trust it, you stick to that one, didn't you? So
definitely.
That wasn't the
habit.
Because here, what I use is the KCL or KCI potassium chloride you can get off Amazon, and you get a nice big bag of it for pretty cheap.
That's a technical grade potassium chloride. It's okay for use as a dip, but I won't trust it to use to boost the potassium level in my tank. So for dip, you can use a technical grade. The AC something. That's what I buy too. So that potassium chloride only used for dipping. But for boosting potassium level in the tank, I use the food grade stuff. Okay. So now this slide is alternative to All Reef calcium formate. Actually, there's two products available. One is Solifer all-in-one. Interesting thing is that the Solifer all-in-one is not available in US, but available in UK.
Wow. Oh, do you want me to send you some, dear?
No, I don't need to. Because I have my own hold on. Where is
here we go.
Okay. acetate reagent grade from the same Amazon. Yeah, that's the same thing.
I can also verify that Solifer haven't changed their packaging in about 50 years. It still looks like that. It always has done.
The Polyp Lab one is the same thing, calcium acetate.
Okay.
Yep, it does the same job as the calcium formate without the drawback of the formate to promote the VBO to grow. It does the same thing, and also that it shows up the alkalinity much faster. Actually, when people say, "Well, what am I going to do if I'm not using All Reef?" I said, "Well, calcium acetate you can buy from Amazon. I bought it, I tried it, I use it. It works very well." So if you do not want to pay for the higher price for the name brand product, just buy the calcium acetate. Very inexpensive from Amazon.
You see, it's all right. No disrespect. It's all right you're using the Amazon examples, but how would people so the Solifer and the Polyp Lab that are there, people are going to buy that, and they're going to have step-by-step dosage instructions of how to use that to their aquarium. This is where I think it can be a little bit dangerous for people to then go out and buy these cheap, alternatives, or well, they're exactly the same pretty much most of the time. But how do they know? How do they find the
recipe?
The recipe, the dosage.
Yes, the recipe is online. You can Google it. It tells you how much to add and how much to add to. Yeah, the recipe is widely available.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next slide, please.
Probably an AI bot that might have got it wrong, but maybe just check.
Oh yeah, don't trust the AI bot. Look at the reference to see the what exactly the reference coming from. This is a paper to answer one of the questions is that the coral actually, because somebody asked me a question about how much percentage of the photosynthesis for the coral need is nutrition versus eating by capturing plankton, that kind of thing, right? If you do an AI search saying that coral, like the SPS, Acropora, mostly depend on photosynthesis in the ocean, that is old school thinking. This is a paper coming from 2025, indicating that the scientific community underestimated the nutrition input from capturing prey. That means that for all these years, too much photosynthesis being emphasized. Too little.
On that note, it's a very cheeky plug, but on the 17th of April, we have a guest to talk exactly about coral nutrition. So
yes. So feeding coral is important.
So feeding, well, you just took the words out of my mouth. So feeding coral is important, right? Okay.
Yeah. And there's another plug for the Reef Bomb. So the Reef Bomb we did this week on Tuesday. We talked to this Australian coral collector. He mentioned something very interesting. In the outer reef, it's like 80-20, 80% photosynthesis and 20% feeding. But the inner area is like 50-50 coral. Like 50% photosynthesis and 50% capturing prey, that kind of thing. Yeah. So the scientific community now published papers saying that, yes, we underestimated the feeding from coral. Yeah. So that to answer that question, you basically, feeding is important.
Poo Tang, you feed anything down there? I mean, I'm with him on that, and I've speaking with a few people about that, and then the more variety you feed your fish, the more variety of food that you put in your water, the rich, it's gonna feed down to the fish poop and the breakdown, and that's gonna eventually feed down to what your corals are intaking. So yeah, I mean, I'm with that 100%. The more you can vary it, it's like, you're feeding somebody cheeseburgers all the time. Well, it'd be nice to have, hot dogs and, a little salad here and there. And, there's all sorts of things that help supplement health.
Yes. Okay. So move forward. The next, do I need to dose bacterial? That's another question. How do I know if I need to dose bacterial? Let me give you a very simple tip. So,
we're going to get the B word here, are we?
Huh?
Are we going to get the B word?
Oh, no. We are not going to do that. So, every morning you walk down to the aquarium, if you need to scrape the bacterial film off the glass, you do not need to feed bacterial. Simple as that. You have plenty. And keep in mind that marine bacterial, they double their colony size in about 4 to 8 hours. And if you have to scrape the bacterial film off your glass, you have plenty of bacterial. And the important thing is that scientific study shows a coral eat bacterial, they are not picky at all. Whatever they can capture, whatever fit in their mouths, they eat the bacterial.
Well, on that note, there's a question here. And I'm not going to go down this road too long, but I did something similar, and it was a big mistake. Okay. It was a huge in my tank downstairs. So I was mixing some concoction about a year ago of various foods in the cupboard, and yeah, there was a feeding response, which I think you were going to get anyway with the amount of aminos and the amount of foods that I was putting in. You were dosing in shitloads of stuff, but I think it was in the space of about a month after doing it, some of the acropora just were not happy, and they started to die in a way that I've not seen before. I don't mean RTN or STN. I mean die as in they were like almost like they were being burnt, like they were rotting. It was which for me just told me bacterial. So I just stopped doing it. And the minute I stopped doing it, I lost a couple pieces. But the minute I stopped doing it and I went back to the, I was still doing water changes anyway, but I just continued water changes and I've been dosing the modern reef on it for 3 years now, almost. Certain corals came back. And I mean, certain corals I would never have expected to come back came back. So it's a bit of a survival of the fittest sometimes, I think, sometimes with certain things, species, animals in general. But yeah, I would not recommend doing that.
Yeah.
I looked at the microscope. Me and my friend got a microscope, and I was like, "Holy shit, what's this?" I don't know what it is. I was like, all these things dancing around. I don't know what it is. It could be good, could be bad. But anyway.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah. So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, the green film on the glass. That's another thing people scraping off. And sometimes I get a phone call, I say, "Hey, I got the green film on the glass. It's really bad." No, it's not. If you see this green film on your glass, the most likely a phytoplankton. Scrape it off, feed your tank. Voila. Yes, it's good stuff. For matter of fact, every day when you scrape the glass for bacterial film or phytoplankton, whatever thing, you are actually feeding the coral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
And the fish as well. The fish love that.
Oh, the fish will sometimes follow you. Yeah, to eat the bacterial film of the that you just scrape off. So scraping the glass is actually a good thing. So if I do not see the bacterial film build up on the glass every day or every 2 days, I will start to worry because that's not normal. Right. A healthy reef ecosystem, the bacteria should be rapidly colonizing all the new surface. When you scrape the glass, you create a clean surface. And that surface should be occupied by bacterial film.
If you think about it, I obviously, as a hobbyist, get annoyed. I have to scrape the glass every couple of days. But that's all I scrape. I'm not scraping the rock every day or the sand. Mm-hmm. They don't seem to go green. So it's only the glass. So it obviously shows that that's an established surface. And the glass being a new surface is where it's all just, new territory.
Yep. That is a very critical sign for a healthy reef tank. So if you add something to prevent the build-up of bacterial film, you're doing something wrong. If you don't see the bacterial film, something's wrong. When you're scraping the glass, you should feel really, really happy because that is a great indication you have a healthy environment, a reef tank.
For us here, it's once a day.
Once a day.
Yep. If I clean it at 8 o'clock at night.
Terrill, whoa. You don't have to tell us what Lindsay does. You have to tell us what you do.
I'm doing all the manual labor on the tanks most of the time, so it works out. And plus, it's a habit for me, man. I'm real OCD, so I look at all my tanks all the time, and if it's dirty, I start having a little bit of anxiety. So I'm over here cleaning every day.
Have you booked Lindsay in at the spa at the Crib Royal? Just by any chance?
The spa? You said?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put her water wings on and let her get in. I gotta make sure we keep her here with us,
That's important. That's important. Okay. Then another question, people. That's the right way to do. Right way to go. So, the older I get, I realize how important what you just did. Yes. So this is sea lettuce. So you can have invasion of this on your tank. Actually, I see, including myself, I have the ova that infested on the area and on the glass. But think about it this way: when people ask me, should I dose fluconazole to kill them off? I said, no. That is the best salad you can feed to your fish.
Yeah.
Just use a toothbrush as or maybe a razor blade, scraping down.
I noticed that I'd got this in the garage in the vat, which I use as a sump, which is just live rock, egg crate, skimmer on top, and a few LPS.
And think about it.
I noticed I've got it round the rim of the tank, like round the water level. Yeah, round the rim. Yep. And I was realizing I'd got it in that tank because it was the only tank that I'd got no fish.
yeah. And then you scrape them and put it in a fish tank to feed the fish. That's better than any nori, anything, because all the nori are loaded with preservative. Nori is something that can easily decompose. That's why they soak them in preservative and then dry it. And don't believe those people telling you this is organic, this is no preservative. No, nori has no preservative. It's a stinking piece of crap. They will decompose rapidly. Don't believe in all this organic, whatever it's saying. Nori actually is not really that healthy for your fish.
Is it not just because does it not stay fresh because it's got zero moisture content and it's got a silica bag in the packet?
Yeah, true.
Yes and no, because that the nori also, well, if you get wet a little bit, it rapidly decomposes.
You get a lot right.
Think about this way. When you see a bag of nori sealed in this plastic bag with a pack of silica gel, right? That is the storage phase. During the manufacture phase, think about that way. That's where the lots of preservative have to be deployed to go through the whole manufacture process. To reach the dry nori with a silica gel pack in a plastic bag and sell to you. So this macroalgae is much more healthier for your fish than nori.
Just on a side note, is there anything behind feeding, especially I suppose tangs, anything out of the cupboard in terms of like out of the greengrocers, lettuce, cabbage, anything like that?
Cabbage, lettuce, you can feed them lettuce. I see people feed them, but think about it this way: the nutrition value is unknown.
Right. Yeah, you see, like Andrew Sadler feeds a lot of lettuce, and David Saxby feeds a lot of lettuce, right? Is that just to bulk the fish out and keep them fuller, or
that's all fiber.
Much nutrition to it.
Fiber.
Yeah, there's not much nutrition there. Yeah, so your primary fish food probably is where the nutrition is. So I think that probably the last slide, is it? Yes.
Yes. There you go. Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean,
right.
You've got to give it to Dong.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, any Q&A on that? I mean,
Dong, you've got the opposite of Elvis's haircut. I'm sorry.
Huh?
So you've got the opposite of Elvis's haircut. I can't deny that one.
There was a question. I'm going to see if I can find it actually, and it was before we went live. It was when I'd see if I can find it. It was from somebody that had watched it or seen it, and it was a comment regarding I think it was to do with Live Rock.
The ironic thing is tonight's episode was to try and catch up on all the questions we'd missed over the last 3 months.
Yes.
And I think we've had more questions tonight than we've had in those last 3 months. So we've got to do it again.
Let's have a look. Right, any more? No, I think we're all good. I think everybody's all questioned out. I think we're all good.
Yeah.
I think we're all good.
Yep. And for more questions, just send it our way. We can cover that in the later episode.
Definitely. I'll tell you what, one question I will have, one question I've personally got for you. The iodine dip that we talked about in the garage. So why does the colour why does it fade? The more
because it's reacting. That's when the iodine. Yeah. So because iodine become iodine after they react and oxidize and kill the bacteria.
I think that's really interesting for people to understand, because when you're dipping something, you're trying to look for a tea color solution.
Yeah, a dark tea color solution.
Dark tea color solution.
When you dip several times and you become lighter and lighter and just discard it and make a new one.
Right, okay. And
So
the reason
the
why
color
it's getting
change
lighter
become
is
lighter.
right. Okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah,
Because it's working.
okay.
Yeah.
So are you
Oxidizing.
always shooting for, let's say you're using a dip and somebody's, dipping multiple corals through. Do they always want to re-up it and keep it a dark, or is it still good as it continues to lighten up?
What I will do is that when I will make a new solution, iodine is so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a little bit will make the color, little bit of them will make the color pretty like tea color. So you want to like a dark tea color solution, and you dip it, and then when that solution faded, let's say like 20%, 30%, just eyeball it and just toss it and get a new cup.
But this is
and
because
new
this is a conversation that we've had literally this week with myself and Dong. So I think again, people are a little bit sort of tunnel vision or pigeonholed, whatever you want to call it, in terms of they get a coral, they dip it, as you've said, NIOS, potassium chloride, etc. But people would never think of dipping it for bacteria. They would always think of dipping it for pests. I think that's a completely different sort of mindset. People don't think of the bacteria. People think, I think there's a little bit of placebo that by dipping it for pests, you're dipping it for pests, having it's clean.
I think people when you say bacteria to somebody, if they can't see it and
that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Then it's just kind of an abstract thing, and that if unless you understand the deeper aspects of it, you're just going to look bacteria and be,
Yeah.
So I've always thought iodine's a very broad spectrum biocide, if you like.
Yes.
Kill any bacteria, good and bad. I think I'd only ever use iodine if I've got a coral in distress, something that I suspect a problem, because I don't want to wipe out the positive bacterial biome on its surface unnecessarily. So I'd always dip in like a parasite dip, like you said, a NIOS or a
chloride.
Chloride. I would only use iodine when I've got like tissue recession or something I suspect a bacterial issue. I don't use that all the time. That's just my home practice, if you like.
I think that when you suspect a bacterial infection, then you can use it. So the thing is, if the coral looks perfectly healthy, the less dipping probably is better.
Tell a lie, actually, I do use it prophylactically when I'm fragging. If I pull out a mother colony, let's say digitata, a big piece. When I've chopped it to bits and got all my frags, I will put that mother colony in an iodine dip before it goes back in the tank, just as like a healing thing. That's the only time I really use it.
Yeah, actually, here's one thing you can try. You can put iodine in the frag source or reservoir.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what I do. I just squirt a bit of iodine into the reservoir. So when the store is going on, cutting the fresh, and then it sanitize the surface.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't use that like same as we were saying earlier about using mammalian antibiotics on corals and stuff. But I take that from if we go for an operation in a hospital, how do they clean your wounds? They swap it with iodine, right? That brown stuff all over you. So I'm doing the same with the corals. So if I've cut a coral, physically lies through the cells, I'll dip them in iodine, so they've got that protection.
Yep, and also that is safe, and it doesn't create a resistance. The bacteria cannot get around with that. Just like bleach, it dies.
Interesting. Well, we've covered many a topic on tonight's Q&A. Thank you very much, Dong, again, for once and all for that presentation. A lot of thought and effort went into that. Definitely needs a tap on the hat there for you. Terrill, what's left for this weekend? Anything else to be sorting out for Poo Tang? Anything else you're going to be doing over the weekend? Anything?
Like I said, we're going to be installing our 1,000 gallons a day RODI system. So that's on the docket for tomorrow. So we get to tonight. We jump off here. We start prepping the tanks. Lindsay's already doing dailies on the her trace elements, and then we do our live sale this evening, and then I'll start doing projects tomorrow and get this thing knocked out, because I'm tired of waiting on it, man. I like getting projects knocked out.
Good for you. Just on a side note, how's Mr. Franks? keep meaning to ask you.
Good. So Mr. Frank, for those of you that didn't know, our Frenchie, he's at the coral shows and everything. He had cancer in his toe that we found. So luckily, this was around Christmas time. I mean, it was gnarly looking, man. It was like a grape size, growth on his toe, but we ended up getting amputated, and he's doing good now. He's cancerless, and he's got new life.
Amazing.
So
awesome.
He'll be there at Reeferpalooza, just a year older.
Awesome. Awesome.
We're wondering how many interviews he's going to crash this year.
Yeah, we're going to say he'd probably be more popular than you and Lindsay. No offense, Jamie. The tank's looking great behind you, as I said earlier when we first started. Any plans for this weekend? Any husbandry? Anything?
Yeah, I've made up a batch of RODI today to water change the other system. I've got it's my little boy's birthday next weekend, so I've got a few people coming over. So got to make it look a spectacle. Gonna clean the back glass for a change and all the rest of it. So yeah, maintenance day tomorrow on the other system. Playing around. So
clean the tank, not the child. Yeah.
Yeah, I've de-algaed the child a few times, but it's the tank this weekend.
Okay, fair enough. Dog, anything happening? Any hot roast? Anything cooking this weekend? Anything on the back burner? No.
Everything is normal. Yeah, doing the routine maintenance. Make more space.
I'm going to. Frank well talked about. I'm going to be fragging coral with my new mask. There we go. I'll send you some pictures. I've got a 2 foot by 2 foot toadstool to collect tomorrow, which will be interesting. I'll send you a picture in the WhatsApp group.
Sure.
But listen, gentlemen, thank you ever so much for those of you, 80 odd of you that at one point tuned in and supported the network this evening. Thanks ever so much for getting involved in the Q&A. Thank you and welcome to Terrill from Poo Tang for joining us on a regular basis. He'll be there again with us next Friday. So will Dong, myself and Jamie. If you haven't already done so, please give us a bit of a like and a subscribe, should I say, to the channel. It does make all the difference, and we will be here next Friday for sure. We will keep you updated on socials as to what we'll be covering. But this leaves me to say, have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you all next Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Big quiz.